Well, if it couldn't get any juicier, are you kidding me, Diesel? This just continues to get crazier and crazier by the day. What are we talking about? Well, we broke the news yesterday about Sherrone Moore, and what had happened was what happened with him at Michigan. Diesel, we found out mid-show around probably 4:30 or so of the news. And some news continued to develop as to what happened. And then we get off the air last night, and bam, the blank hits the fan, and more and more details have come out. Welcome into Wire to Wire. He's Diesel. I'm Cole Bryson. What a wild story this continues to be. There is a lot of information out there, and none of it is good, Diesel, when it comes to what happened yesterday with Sherrone Moore.
No, I haven't seen anything yet that would make this appear to be circumstantial, a misunderstanding, a misrepresentation of the facts to make it look worse than it actually is. No, it all just looks really, really bad.
Really bad.
Yeah. The news yesterday, obviously, if you haven't heard it, if you've been living under a rock, Sherrone Moore, head football coach of Michigan, was fired yesterday with cause. Around 4:30 Eastern time, it came out that there was evidence suggesting that he had an inappropriate relationship with a female staffer. After that, Cole, we were just left speculating at that point. What exactly happened here? Obviously, Sherrone is married. He's got a wife and he's got kids, and you could certainly see the conduct unbecoming clause coming into play with his contract and Michigan taking a zero tolerance policy. But since then, as this has continued to develop, and people who knew things about this well in advance, and I mean well in advance of the news yesterday, are saying, yep, they've been sitting on this for an awful long time. They chose the timing of when they decided to do this. It was not we just made the decision today and we released the information today. This has been a couple of months in the making.
Yeah. You know what's crazy, Diesel? So much has surfaced over the last few hours and, from last night into this morning. What's wild is I saw a tweet, and this tweet is still out there. I actually followed the guy. He looks to be an older gentleman. But I saw a tweet from late November, early December, Diesel, where the guy tweeted out a picture of the staffer and tweeted out what happened and was like, hey, Sherrone Moore's doing things with a staffer, AD, principal, people need to be fired. People need to be held accountable. This was 2-3 weeks ago. So somehow, some way, this random guy who had some pretty strong sources, right, knew about it. And to your point, to what you just said, it's not like they just found out about this. I would like to know how long those in charge have known about this.
Yeah, and, if you believe the narrative that this has been in the making for a while now,
yeah,
does it shine a negative light on the administration that chose not to do something about it immediately? If they had the evidence, if they believed that this was that this was happening, that this was going on, why would you not fire him the moment you found out it was going on? Why would you wait months, especially in a very crowded and very competitive market, to go hire a new head coach? Why would you not have done it 2 months ago or a month ago when there might have been a possibility of hiring James Franklin for the job?
And you know what, man? Diesel, I find it hard to believe, and I'm sure you would, and I'm sure Tolos would as well. And by the way, Tolos, want to hear from you at 844-326-3663. The Hub City Spartanburgers text line is open. Stream already rolling. And we'll get to the Kalen DeBoer aspect of it later in the 5 o'clock hour. But Diesel, what I find interesting is I just don't see a scenario in which something to this magnitude happens and you sit on it. I understand. I'm with you. I agree. I've heard things that lead us to believe the university has known about this. But look, how do you allow something like this to be sat on? I think, look, what Sherrone Moore did is horribly wrong. But the university, yeah, I'm glad they fired the guy. But Diesel, this is one of those instances where the moment you find out this guy's got to be gone, right?
I guess it's easy to say that, and it's very easy to feel that way. But the only maybe defense that Michigan has in this situation is there are procedures, right? You have to go through a full investigation. You have to go down the proper, paths and channels and confirm everything and double confirm and triple confirm everything. Because if you just heard a rumor,
I'm with
and you got a first piece of what feels like substantial evidence and you act on it, and then it turns out not to be true or not to be 100% the case, then that is a tremendous black eye on Michigan.
Oh, I get it.
So I get why they needed to be a little bit cautious. And I guess it all goes back to that comment saying, what did they know and when did they know it?
Sure.
Did they know that they were going to fire Sherrone Moore early November and they let him coach for another 2 or 3 games? Did they know in October and they let him coach the back half of the season? If you believe certain people, and Madcraft touched on it, he said, I watched the Josh Pate clip where he was talking about knowing about this for a long time, which means the university knew about it for even longer. How do you justify keeping a coach around when you know you're going to have to fire him by the end of the season? Why not do it right then and there?
And I guess going off of what you said, yes, there are procedures in place you have to follow. You can't fire somebody off of a rumor. But I'm just thinking, Dewey would fire him before the rumor came out. What are you talking about? I guess what I'm getting at is, if you get wind of this, it's real simple. You go to the source. In this case, it'd be the staffer, right? You'd go to the source. Yes, you have to do diligence. You have to do your homework. You have to file a receipt. I get that. But if the source says, yes, this happened, you verify, you confirm, you make sure this happened. And if that's the case, I can do that within 24 hours, and Sherrone Moore can be out of here. So 100%, I'm with you. There are procedures you do have to follow, but it blows my mind that they've known about this. If that's true, if they have known about this for longer than a month, there's no scenario in which this should take a month to figure out.
So the language that's been coming out, and this is the only language I've seen, correct me if there's more out there that I don't know about yet, is inappropriate relationship, which could mean a lot of different things, right? Inappropriate relationship could mean they've been sneaking around having an affair for 6 months, or it could mean that Sherrone Moore sexually assaulted this young girl. We don't know. So have you seen anything that would suggest either way? Because there are photos, and it's always hard when you just see a photo thrown out there on Twitter to know when this photo was taken, how long had something possibly been going on. Maybe this photo was taken. You've probably seen it. It's Sherrone and the staffer on a sideline somewhere, looking very casual, standing side by side. Doesn't mean that something was going on at that time yet, or maybe it was.
So I've seen reports that said in mid-November of 2025, which is about a month ago, right? Mid-November, it's mid-December now. University of Michigan Athletic Department received an anonymous tip alleging Moore is engaged in an inappropriate relationship with a staff member. Obviously, we know now, and her dad's an executive for the Chicago Bears. A confidential internal investigation was launched, Diesel, going off of what you said a minute ago, resulting in a dismissal. So it seems as if it was about a month-long investigation. Now, there are also reports out there, and again, you have to be careful, and with so much information out there, you don't know what's true, you don't know what's not true, right? I've seen a lot of reports, not just one report, where, there was a situation in which the staffer was pregnant and Sherrone Moore was, forcing the staffer to have an abortion. And then there was a $50,000 salary raise, which is not false. That was true. They pulled the records at Michigan. She got a $50,000 raise. Whew. So let's just say this, all the sexual inappropriate stuff aside, does that not raise a red flag when somebody gets a $50,000 raise?
Who do you have to talk to get a raise like that? Sherrone Moore doesn't have the authority to just log into the computer system and add $50,000 to her salary.
He sends an email, I guess, says, hey, she needs, she's one of my staff. She needs $50,000.
Wow.
Again, I don't know. I've never been in a situation where, I've gotten a $50,000 raise or anything like that, but never will. I mean, Diesel, you don't get $50,000 raises unless you're Kurt Cignetti.
Doesn't that, raise some sort of eyebrow? So again, all we've heard is that she is a staffer. We don't know exactly what that means. What position did she hold? Was she in a job that pays roughly $50,000 and they jumped her to $100K?
Yes, that's correct.
Because of it. So where's the person in the payroll department saying, whoa, that's weird. We got like 10 of these staffers and they're all making roughly $50,000 and all of a sudden she jumps to $100K. That's a little wonky. That's a little weird. So, I mean, like now I'm thinking possible cover up inside of the Michigan program where multiple people were involved, because you don't just give somebody a $50,000 raise and not pique the interest of a couple of people as to why.
No, and look, the reality is it doesn't matter if she was his top executive assistant or whatever, Diesel, like it doesn't matter. A $50,000 raise should raise eyebrows. And I've even seen reports where it's 55% pay raise. And then the pregnancy rumors, like it's just regardless. It's like I said to open the show, that it's good that's going to come out of this. And it's a messy situation. It's something that we've just, to be honest, have never seen. I mean, we've seen other messy situations, right? Like Petrino and things like that. But Diesel, even with all the messiness of college that we've seen in years past, seeing a college football coach get fired and then with hours, we find out he is in a county jail and we're having a hearing on Friday. Like, this is as wild as it gets. Him breaking into, her house or somebody else's house, and then the police having to get involved yesterday. Like, it is bad. And I just don't know that we've ever seen anything to this extent.
Yeah, and to have this all develop so quickly, used to be you'd have a scandal like this every couple of years. Yeah. Now you have a major scandal every couple of days. The whole Lane Kiffin thing. Massive scandal. Notre Dame getting left out of the playoff. Massive scandal. Sherrone Moore. Massive scandal. It's just boom, 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 one after the other.
It is. I'm telling you, man, I've again seen so many different reports. I'm looking right now at like all of these different reports that have come out. And tomorrow we'll know exactly what charges are going to be, filed against them. But this is something that's setting precedent of a college football story and a wild, wild west kind of story that we've never seen before. And look, it's unfortunate I feel for his wife and 3 kids, right? Like they
didn't ask for this.
No, that's who you really feel bad for, man. And that's the story of it that will never be able to be repaired, right? Yeah. And that's who I feel for.
The kids are going to have to hear about this for a very, very long time. That there's scumbags on the internet that are looking up his wife's social media accounts so that they can dunk on her and make her feel even worse about the situation. And, I saw Dave Portnoy. I don't know what show he was on. He's like, all right, guys, it's time to have a little bit of class and wait for all the facts and the information to come out. Like, full well, if this was Ohio State and Ryan Day, he would not have the same opinion. He wouldn't say, whoa, guys. Think about the kids. We got to wait to find out the information on this. He would be out there dunking on Ohio State, just like I'm sure a whole bunch of Ohio State fans. I mean, you would hope that people would have enough decorum not to do that, but that's the first thing people will do.
I'll say this. His stupidity is so funny to me. Like, he does it on purpose, right? Like, everybody thinks he does this to generate clicks. And by the way, shout out to Rob Jones of 98.9. He's the best. He just brought me my headphones that I left downstairs. There's nobody better than Rob Jones. You hear me say that, Rob? No, he did hear that. Checks in the mail. Thanks, Rob Jones, for that. Diesel, here's the problem. Now, again, I want to be very clear. I do not believe in ever celebrating someone's downfall. But Ohio State fans today, are you kidding me? They're probably sitting here eating this up, right?
Yeah.
I mean, can you imagine? These two programs hate each other. Yeah, and you said it, if it was the other way around, there would be a parade right now in Ann Arbor.
JB on the stream basically says, give them the SMU death penalty, shut the program down. That's not going to happen, JB. Michigan makes too much money for the NCAA.
They make too much money.
And do that.
You know what?
Blue blood.
Like, if you're Michigan, yeah, you've been guilty of things in the past. You've had guys in the whole Connor style, the hardball, like it's messy. But Michigan, you feel like, oh, we're finally getting out of this whole crap, right? And then, oh, thanks, Sherrone. You got to continue to throw mud on us. Diesel, there's not a worse reputation in college football right now than Michigan. There's just not.
You think they might want to do a background check on these coaches before they hire them, before they offer them all this kind of money and give them the keys and this much power? Another thing that I thought about, Cole, and we're going to ask this question coming up at 5:20 of Bill Bender of The Sporting News. It's probably a good thing that we had to wait 24 hours to get Bill Bender on because now we're going to get a little more information and direct from the source, from the person who would know. But I am curious about the Michigan recruiting class. There's been a lot of speculation that they waited until now so that they could get the recruiting class signed, get them on not on campus, but get them committed to being there fully, and then they would release the information. I don't know if there should be or could be or is any kind of apparatus to let these players out of their commitments, because some of them would probably want to go elsewhere. Would want to find other opportunities in the Big Ten instead of signing up to be with that program, because God, now you got to think they are going to be set back unless they just get insanely lucky and find a coach in mid-December that can get them to 10 wins next year. This program's going to be set back for years, and these kids will have to burn a year of eligibility. And Diesel,
the only way it works out to their favor is if Michigan can grab a coach who's in the playoff. That's the only way. If they can grab a coach who's in the playoff.
Or a giant name otherwise.
Well, and again, most of the giant names are already, they're already tied up. I mean, look at all the coaches that got tied up in the past month. When I say tied up, I mean contract extensions, right? The Kurt Signettis of the world. Diesel, the only way it works out for Michigan, and we're going to get to the Michigan side of it at 5 o'clock or 4:20, some later in the show. Later in the show, we're going to get into some Kalen DeBoer rumors and all kind of other stuff. The only way it works out for them is that they can grab a guy who's currently in the college football playoff, and then you could say, oh, Michigan got very fortunate with this timing because they got an elite coach who was just in the college football playoff. So from as messy as this is, Diesel, from the Michigan standpoint, this still could have worked out if they can get a guy who's in the college football playoff.
All the easy to pick names are floating around out there. Well, John Gruden. God, everybody's been trying to go after John Gruden forever. Everybody they're going after John Harbaugh, Kalen DeBoer. I mean, why would Kalen DeBoer want to leave Alabama and go to Michigan?
The question.
Why would he want to do that? I mean, I know there's some Alabama fans who feel like getting to the SEC championship game, losing, but still being in the college football playoff isn't enough, and they would want him fired. But, I mean, I don't see it. I know a lot of people want to throw that name out there. I think the biggest name out there that's a free agent that feels like it kind of maybe fits just a little bit is Brian Kelly. But I don't know if he wants the job, and I don't know if Michigan wants him, but they may have to.
Yeah, and we're going to get into that at 4:22, the whole Kalen DeBoer to Michigan thing, because I put a tweet out, and I'll get to the response I got from that tweet in the 4:22 segment because it is interesting, but nonetheless, just a very sad story. If you're talking about sad on the part of his family, that you said it, didn't ask for any of this, right? And obviously a messy situation for the university. And again, Michigan, guess what? They have to move on. They have to continue to do what they do, and they have to find another football coach. But the reality is, Diesel, there's a human aspect of this that just makes it tough because, like I said a minute ago, nothing good will come out of this, and that's sad.
Definitely a lot of question marks surrounding this Michigan program, and it will for a while. Some question marks, not nearly as as massive as that one, but it's still important nonetheless, surround the Clemson football program. We'll get into that deep into the weeds on the States segment with Chapel Fowler next. Your pre-Christmas bowl picks are due in the Wire to Wire Upset Picks Challenge, brought to you by Ingles Markets. JB has gotten in his pick. He's taken Boise State plus 10 points. I think it was 9.5 yesterday, JB, over Washington. This week you have, I think, about 18 or 19 games available to choose from. That would be the pre-Christmas bowls that leads all the way up to the Hawaii Bowl that I think is on Christmas Eve. You also get the Army-Navy game to choose from, and you get the college football playoff first-round games. Those are the games you have to pick. Any college football game with a spread on it that's before Christmas Day
we gotta get
available to pick.
We got to get these entries bumped up a little bit, though. I mean, a little slack yesterday, dude.
It's still -2 if you don't make a pick. It's -1 if you get your pick wrong. And, of course, if you get it right, then we all throw a pizza party and everybody's happy. Speaking of being happy, we are always pleased to be joined by Chapel Fowler of the State newspaper. He covers Clemson as his beat. Chapel, what's Dabo's stance on players that are deciding to enter the transfer portal? And I get the list is still fairly small at this point. And letting them come back and play in the Pinstripe Bowl. Kenny Dillingham has come out and said that his players who declare for the portal can still come back and play in the Sun Bowl. A couple of other coaches have done the same thing. So when it comes to guys like Keith Adams Jr. and Khalil Barnes who have declared for the portal, will they be allowed to play and finish out their seasons with Clemson if they choose?
Good afternoon, guys. Good to be on with you. I don't know if Dabo has ever been asked directly about that, and that actually would be an interesting thing to ask him. But in all my experience covering Clemson, when a player transfers, they're pretty much gone. I don't think that's supposed to be like a, rub it in or slap in the face. It's just kind of the way it's gone. I think back to Troy Stellato last year. He entered the transfer portal after the South Carolina game before the ACC championship, and he did not travel with the team. They had Sherrone Moore, a safety, also enter the portal that week. He actually played an ACC championship game, but Dabo kind of described that a week later as like a pretty unique circumstance where he really, really wanted to play in the game, and really there was no bad blood. And like he kind of made his pitch and explained, hey, here's where I want to transfer, but I want to finish with the team. So I think if guys kind of make a good faith effort, maybe there's a chance of it. But in my experience covering Clemson, whenever I see a guy entering the portal or the draft for that matter, I kind of usually think, okay, they've played their last game with the Tigers.
It's interesting, man, because you do see it happen more places than, some schools. Chapel don't have to worry about it to the effect that some of these schools do. To catch Clemson fans up on players who have decided to hit the portal or even declare for the draft, what's your biggest takeaway, your biggest summary on the players that have already announced that they're leaving Clemson and the ones that you think will impact this roster the most?
Yeah, it's been a flurry over these last few days. I've been writing a bunch of stories and posting a bunch of pre-writes and getting it all out there. It's transaction season, as we like to call it at the state. The most surprising one to me is Khalil Barnes leaving, the starting junior safety. A lot of people are like, oh, we weren't surprised. I mean, of course, yeah, it's been a tough season, so you're not really truly 100% surprised if a guy who's usually a regular starter for you decides to look elsewhere. But that one's unique and notable to me because Clemson just basically does not lose starters to the portal. It's all rotational guys. It's backup guys. Really, for a long time, Dabo would tout the fact that they hadn't lost a starter to the portal. And then they lost Makuba to Texas and Bo Collins to Notre Dame 2 years ago. And the Collins, departure wasn't too bad because they had some great freshmen coming in. Dabo has said that out of all their transfers, Makuba and A.J. Hoffler, who went to Georgia Tech, were the two he truly wanted to keep. I would imagine Khalil Barnes falls into that category now, too. This is a guy who, maybe plateaued a little bit from the freshman, sophomore seasons, but is still a really impactful player and somebody they really liked a lot. Someone Tom Allen liked a lot, super versatile guy. When he came back and was healthy, their defense really picked up mid-season, late in the season. So that is the biggest one to me. I'm not surprised with the other portal departures. All the guys that have gone to the league, I was anticipating that. I think Will Heltz probably has the toughest decision to make. And I know there's kind of some positive vibes surrounding his potential return to Clemson, which I think, it's definitely a 50-50 at this point, if not a little more towards him returning. But I think Cleo Barnes is the one that stood out to me, and he had a long social media post about it. That was an interesting one.
Chappell, let's look at the other side of that. Obviously, we don't know who may be interested in Clemson or who Clemson may be targeting at this point, but the expectation is that Dabo and Clemson will be a little more aggressive in the portal this offseason. Rumors or speculation around quarterback, possibly at running back, but I would be shocked if we saw a massive policy change that would see, what you would expect to attract players, big time cash offers up front. So with that, it's sort of enticement being off the table, but also the desire to be more aggressive. How do you kind of pitch to guys to come to Clemson if you're not giving them the money that they want?
I don't know. I think they're working with a bit of a limited NIL rev share, all that budget, but they're certainly not, completely unable to compete for dudes. They beat, I think it was LSU and Texas A&M were the two other schools that were going after Will Helt last year, and they beat those schools out for him. And, they used every bit of that $15-ish million rev share allotment this year for their roster. A lot of really highly compensated guys. I think the fact that you've got Cade Klubnik leaving, Antonio Williams leaving, Peter Woods, TJ Parker, Avion Terrell. That's a lot of guys that were making some pretty decent change at Clemson this year. So to me, there's no excuse to not attack the portal hard. And, again, they said they don't want to lead with money. And if a guy only wants money, then Clemson's not the right fit. But they can offer, some pretty decent money and a chance to come in and be an impact guy at a school that obviously really benefited from transfers last year and needs a lot more of them this offseason. If you're asking me, I don't see any reason why you shouldn't take 6 guys a minimum with all the defensive departures specifically, regardless of the quarterback question, which is another thing. You need more veteran experienced bodies in that group without question. And I think Tom Allen's going to play a big part in that. But I think the pitch is, hey, come here, earn your time and play a lot and look at what Will Helt did and what Jeremiah Alexander did to a lesser degree, Tristan Smith. The transfers that have come in at Clemson, the very few of them have been embraced and they've been impactful. So I think that's a pretty decent pitch. But again, if a guy wants the most money in the more, maybe they go to Texas or Texas A&M to get some oil cash instead of what Clemson can offer.
We're joined by Chappell Fowler of the State Newspaper. A little bit of a format breaker here, Chappell, not Clemson related. Your reaction to the past 24 hours of the Sherrone Moore news?
Oh my gosh, just crazy. The local reporting on that has been really good. And there's a lot of rumor and stuff. I've kind of just been sticking to court records and what the local guys and the Athletic and ESPN and all the nationals are giving me. But yeah, what a crazy, stunning fall from grace. Obviously that school has just had a million issues between all the Harbaugh cheating stuff and Connor Stallions and the fact that Sherrone Moore had already been suspended this season for, essentially destroying evidence as part of that investigation. And then you got this going on. Good on Michigan for standing by their policy. Obviously, it seems like there may be some mental health crisis or other stuff going on there with the news that had been arrested right after that happened. That was kind of jarring to see. So a lot to be sorted out there. And certainly it's a sad situation, but at the same time, he did it to himself. This is the guy who probably, I'd imagine, won't work in college football again, or at least it'll be a very, very, very long time. So yeah, every update on that, I was like, what the heck is happening? And I know we're still waiting on the full picture, but it seems not great. But I will give Michigan credit for doing this investigation. These internal investigations, sometimes you find what you want to find. In this case, it seems like they found the root of the problem, what was going on. So I'll hat tip them journalistically for that.
Chappell, we were sort of speculating back and forth what becomes of the recruiting class that Michigan put together, a really strong class. Maybe the rules on this. We hadn't had time to dig into it and figure it out, but do the normal coach just got fired rules apply to a signing class that hasn't even come to campus yet?
I'd imagine they do. I know there's a specific carve out for that, even under this new kind of portal setup where it's that January portal range and no spring portal. But I think it's something like, I don't know, but there's an immediate period for guys to enter the portal, maybe once a new coach is hired. So it's kind of on the back end, which is interesting. So maybe that does hamstring you a little bit. I feel like whenever it's happened right to a signing class, they signed last week. I'd imagine that's one where maybe there's some flexibility, or Michigan's able to kind of grant some releases, to use an old school term, whenever guys would have to get released out of their NLIs and stuff. I feel like there's probably some flexibility there, just given how weird and unprecedented and out of the blue this is for a lot of recruits, I'm sure. I mean, I saw like players, you remember Jordan Young, who was committed to Clemson at one point, the safety, like tweeting about it, like SMH with a, hand over face emoji. Like, I think all these guys were blindsided. So that to me is a great opportunity for Michigan to be pro player and let these guys out of this crazy situation, because who the heck knows how their search for a coach is going to go now with the playoff just starting. It's going to take forever, I'm sure. But yeah, glad to not be a Michigan admin right now more than anything else.
One of our texters, Chappell, said on the text line, again, take it for what it's worth. He might be right. I'm not sure exactly. Like Diesel said, texter said they have 15 days to enter the portal when a coach is fired. So
that sounds about right.
Yeah.
Well, I thought the rule was changed to they have 15 days after a new coach was hired.
Oh, I don't know.
That rule just got changed.
It's a good question. It's a good question. We'll have to dig in on that a little bit. Chappell, with the bowl game approaching, your immediate reaction to Clemson making the trip to New York, obviously a very historic venue with Clemson playing Penn State at Yankee Stadium. Do you feel like this is a game that Clemson fans are going to get excited about?
I feel like, given where this season was supposed to go, that this is a pretty decent consolation prize. I know that the affordability is not great, so I don't know how many fans who are living up there already are going to make it up. The timing right after Christmas and everything. It's going to be cold and it's going to be pricey to get up there. So if you want to be chilly and drop $3,000, like, be my guest. But I understand if it's more Penn State or locals. I know Clemson has a lot of alumni up there, so crowd size I'm not sure, but I think the channel placement, the opponent, where it sits kind of in the calendar. It's not like the last bowl ever. It's not the first one on the calendar. I think this is a pretty good draw. Like, I think it's going to get a lot of viewership. I think it'll be an interesting matchup. You obviously have two programs who fell well short of expectations, but could definitely use, one big non-conference win against another historic team to kind of boost them into the offseason. So I was personally excited when I saw it because, it's a new bowl, new stadium for me to cover a game at. Never covered a football game at a baseball stadium. They're kind of doing the opposite of the Savannah Bananas, I guess, from April. So it's kind of poetic. But I think all things considered, it was a pretty good draw. Better than like the Duke's Mayo Bowl or something. It's a little bit more unique than that.
Well, Chappell, bring your binoculars. I've never covered a game at Yankee Stadium, but I've covered a Georgia State game at the old Brave Stadium. And, that media booth right behind home plate is a long way from the far corner end zone. Speaking of Clemson in New York City, we got to talk about that just complete collapse against BYU the other night. I guess, going ice cold from the floor is part good defense from the other team and part your team just got the yips. Do you think Brad Brownell did enough, during that stretch to try to shake the Tigers out of that funk, or does it all kind of fall on him that he wasn't able to break him out of it?
Yeah, I was up there for that game, did a little advanced scouting on how I'm going to use the subway later this month. That was a heck of a game, but you could kind of just feel in the second half, and I'm sure you guys watching on TV would say the same. Like, you just felt that lead wiltering, and you just kind of sense, they're up 21 at halftime, 21-0 run was ridiculous. Everything's going right. You come out, you're up 22, and then things just started looking off, and suddenly it's 18 and it's 15, and AJ DeBanza, by the way, what a freaking player. Yeah. I mean, that is a number one draft pick. He was awesome. He almost had like a triple-double in the second half. Not really, but he had 20.7 rebounds, 5 assists. They could not stop him. When he wasn't scoring, he was tossing up lobs to that center they have, who was an absolute beast. He's the one who, kind of broke the rim and made them bring out the big ladder and adjust it and caused like a 15-minute delay. I mean, I think you can push some coaching buttons if you're Brunell in that instance. Like, I don't think the way they defended DeBanza, especially in the second half, was very effective. They had Butta Johnson on him in one-on-one situations like way too often. I think some of that was BYU screening to create that defensive mismatch. But as much as they double teamed him, as they did on that final play when the other guy hit the game winner, I think they should have double teamed him more. So I think their defense could have been better. But in terms of the offense and those terrible shooting splits, I think, you can't coach your guys out of the yips. They kind of just have to shoot their way through it. And Clemson obviously did the exact opposite of that in the second half, especially.
Chappell, my last question for you. When you look at what Cade Klubnik will do next, I guess not next Saturday, the Saturday after Christmas in the Pinstripe Bowl, that'll be his last game. And my question to you is, how do you think Cade will be remembered? What do you think his legacy will be?
I think he will be remembered as a very serviceable quarterback who won a good amount of games, but had a ceiling and couldn't get Clemson over the hump. And that's not a bad legacy to have. I mean, he's going to finish, I want to say, top 5 in, completions, yards, total touchdowns, quarterback wins. I think he's currently in, I want to say 5th place or something, 5th or 6th place. He just passed Charlie Whitehurst after the South Carolina game. The kid's a gamer. He only missed 1 game because of injury his entire Clemson career, and obviously gutted it out down the stretch this season when he wasn't totally healthy. I mean, you guys saw him halfway running around with whether it was the ankle or the thigh contusion. Like, he really did not look like himself in some of those games after he came back after missing the SMU game, but he kept on playing. He obviously cares a lot about the school. He stayed loyal to them. They stayed loyal to him. He made a college football playoff. He's a 2-time ACC championship game MVP. Like, those resume notes alone are pretty good. Like, there's not a lot of guys who can say that type of stuff. Obviously, the standard is national titles at Clemson, and he's not going to get there, and probably was never at any point in his career like truly elite enough to carry a team to that level. But that's also like an incredibly impossible standard. So I think especially this last game, I think the South Carolina game was like this too, was kind of a chance for fans to appreciate him, kind of look forward to the next step and say, hey, here's a guy who has busted his butt. And, maybe if we wanted him to be a 10 out of 10, 5-star whatever recruit, maybe he was an 8 out of 10 or a 7 out of 10 when it was all said and done. But I think people will look back on him fondly, even with the few limitations.
Chappell, you're the best. You're plugged in with everything, and we appreciate your time.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate you having me.
Yep. Thanks, buddy. Chappell, Fowler, good stuff, man.
Big question. 15 years from now, Cole, will people be tailgating at Clemson games, reminiscing about the good Cade Klubnik era?
Well, there was nothing good about the Cade Klubnik era, to answer
right,
your
that's
question.
My point.
Yeah.
So the answer is no.
No,
they're not.
No.
Like, it's the same question I had, was it last year, about Will Shipley? Like, are people going to be sitting back and talking about the Will Shipley days when he was cutting big runs? No, they're probably not. I think Cade Klubnik, unfortunately, maybe slightly unfairly, given the accolades and the accomplishments that he had, will ultimately be forgotten.
Well, he'll be down the list.
Yeah. How many people are sitting around debating the Charlie Whitehurst days?
Yeah. I mean,
Not
people,
many.
diehard Clemson fans know Charlie. And man, I'll tell you this, Charlie Whitehurst was an incredible quarterback for Clemson. I remember watching just about every Charlie Whitehurst game he ever played at Clemson. I'd probably put Charlie Whitehurst ahead of Cade Klubnik. I know his statistics. Chappell just said, Cade passed him in one category, but no, he's down the list. He's down the list for sure. Diesel, it is time to get to the top stories in sports, our Daily Wires. Next.
is Wire to Wire with Cole, Bryson, and Diesel on the Fan Upstate.
A lot to get to in a segment we call Our Daily Wires. Diesel, Sherrone Moore, not a good day, not a good week for him. He was in custody or is in custody in the Washtenaw, Michigan County Jail on Wednesday night as a suspect in an alleged assault just hours after he was fired as Michigan's football coach for having what the school said was an inappropriate relationship with a staff member. Moore was initially detained by police in Saline, Michigan on Wednesday, I guess I'm pronouncing that right, and turned over to authorities in Pittsfield Township for investigation into potential charges.
Yeah, that's the smart thing to do when you've been fired from your job for having an inappropriate sexual relationship. What do? You go threaten her.
Yeah, that makes things better.
Yeah. Well, you've never put out a fire by pouring gasoline on it?
Yeah, a long time ago, and I made mistakes, and you not to that extent, right? But my gosh, we said it yesterday, Diesel. I mean, we've all messed up, but when you're in that kind of spotlight, you just can't. What'd you say? Pour gasoline on the fire?
Yeah,
you can't do that. That's awful.
A lawyer would advise you against it.
Yeah. Gamecocks corner Brandon Sissy and Jalen Kilgore have both announced they're leaving the school early to declare for the NFL draft. Diesel, two guys that were projected very highly on some mock draft boards, and that will definitely be losses to the Gamecock secondary.
Yeah, Shane Beamer needs to circle the wagon and keep as many guys as he can.
No doubt. San Francisco Golden State Warriors are expecting Steph Curry to return tonight from his thigh contusion. Tomorrow night. Steve Kerr said it is looking good. Tennessee targeting Penn State's Jim Knowles to be its defensive coordinator. We talked about that yesterday. Expected to finalize a deal soon. That one's a little bit unexpected, kind of, Diesel.
Yeah, Jim just bouncing from school to school to school. But, hey, I guess the SEC comes calling. You got to answer.
Yeah, you do. And now Jim Knowles has been, Diesel, 3 different schools in, 3 different years? I mean, that's wild.
Yeah.
Louisville senior Chris Bell, one of the top wide receiver prospects in the 2026 NFL draft, suffered a torn ACL in the 38-6 loss. So that was just released that his ACL is no bueno. So that'll hurt his draft, I'm sure. Also in Louisville, Georgia announced Wednesday that Louisville agreed to cancel a home-and-home series starting in 2026 ahead of the SEC announcing next year's college football schedules on Thursday. The Bulldogs also said North Carolina State, another ACC team, agreed to cancel its home-and-home series for 2033 and 2034.
Well, neither one of those matchups were going to be very good.
No, probably not. Probably not. The U.S. House of Representatives, Diesel, passed a bill Wednesday that would allow local and state law enforcement to disable drones during sporting events, which the NFL and other leagues have said are an increasing threat. What does that mean, disable? Like kapow?
Shoot them down, I'm guessing. Who knows? Do they have like a laser they can fire at it? That's pretty sweet. Think about this, though, Cole. How many stadiums are doing drone shows? And when you have that many blips on the radar flying around in the sky,
that's a lot. Don't
you think it would be real easy if you were so inclined to slip a drone in there that has ill intent and do something with it?
Yeah, I mean, it's scary, but my gosh, you're right. There's 80,000 people in a stadium. Yeah, you could.
Yeah.
And welcome to the new world of football where you might be cheering on your Commanders and the next thing you know, a little piece of the propeller, or the part that makes it go up in the air hits you in the face, right? Because a drone was just shot down, right?
Yeah, you could sue for that, especially if it knocks over your beer.
Or falls in it, right? In Tampa, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers have activated wide receivers Mike Evans and Jalen McMillan from injured reserve in advance of Thursday night's game against the Falcons. That's huge, right?
You're going to need them.
Huge. Big game tonight. And last one for you. In Ashburn, Virginia, Washington Commanders quarterback Jaden Daniels won't play Sunday against the New York Giants, Coach Dan Quinn said on Wednesday.
When we come back, Cole, there is a Power 4 conference commissioner that is waging war, fighting battles on multiple fronts right now, and he is in a tight spot with a lot to deal with. Who is it? What all is he trying to fight back against? We'll talk about it next. Cole, I'm going to make kind of a strange analogy here, but do you know why the Germans had kind of a hard time winning World War II?
Let me think.
Think. Where were they fighting? Where geographically?
Why did the Germans have such? Where were they fighting?
I'll make it easy for you.
Yeah, make it real easy.
They were trying to fight a global war on two different fronts.
Okay.
They had the Western Front where they were fighting us.
Yeah.
They had the Eastern Front where they were fighting Russia.
Limited in number? Is that what you're getting at?
You're spread very thin. Spread very thin. You got a lot of problems happening all at the same time. They had more problems than just that. But we're not giving a history lesson here. We're talking about the present. And Jim Phillips, the commissioner of the ACC, who I have been very critical of over the past couple of years, he finds himself in a very similar situation because Jim Phillips is now waging wars on multiple fronts right now. Number one, it's been well documented. There's no reason to get deep back into the weeds on this, but he is fighting a war against Notre Dame. That it feels like they're too good to be in the ACC anymore, and unfixable damage has been done to that relationship. Well, now Jim Phillips is also fighting a war to try to expand the college football playoff to 16 teams. He's out there beating the drum to expand this thing. The only way to fix this problem is more. That's how we do it.
This reminds me of a conversation you and I had about maybe a year ago or maybe a little bit less than a year ago about college basketball expansion. Mm-hmm. Didn't we say that if the tournament, correct me if I'm wrong here, we were talking about the college basketball tournament. Remember, there was a push to expand it, right?
Yep. They wanted to expand from 68 to 72, I think.
So that more mid-majors could get in. What did we say?
Right.
That's not going to happen.
That's not how it's going to work.
So in this case, are you sure, Jim Phillips, that if that happens, more of your schools are going to get in?
I don't think they will.
Nah.
I don't think they will.
No.
I mean, look at the top 16 seeds right now, even if they went straight seeding. Okay. Yeah. And I do feel like that's probably on the way. I do think they're going to strip the G5 of its guaranteed access of at least one spot, because guess what? If you went straight seeding 1 through 15, the team that's sitting at 16, that's a Power 4 conference team, maybe it's Vanderbilt, maybe it's whoever, they're going to say, well, we're better than Tulane. We're better than South Florida. They don't deserve to be in. So as long as you maintain giving access to the G5, no matter what the size of the playoff is, you're going to have people out there screaming they don't deserve to have a spot. They shouldn't be in this thing. But you know full well, if they did that, the SEC is getting more teams in. If they just went straight seeding, the SEC is going to get more teams in this thing. The Big Ten is going to get more teams in this thing. Looking at the rankings right now,
that's what I was going to say.
10 through 20. You got Miami at 10, Notre Dame at 11, BYU 12, Texas 13, Vandy 14, Utah 15, Southern Cal 16. Guess what? I don't see any ACC teams in there.
No, and you'd get 3 more SEC teams in. You'd get
Virginia's at 19. Georgia Tech is at 22.
Yeah.
You got, probably the ACC runner-up sitting there in the 15, 16 range and puts them right there on the bubble. I don't think it helps you all that much, Jim.
No, I don't think so. The problem is you just brought up the rankings there. I think going back to my point with the college basketball tournament, they're going to get the brands in that benefit, the objective, right? And like you said, guess what? Texas and Vandy would both be in this year. Texas and Vandy right now are not in. Now, I'm sure Notre Dame agrees that right now they need a 16-team playoff. I'm sure of that because,
guess what? They're trying to get a guarantee that they're in.
Every year.
They call it the MOD. I forget what that stands for, but it's basically a guarantee that if we're sitting inside the top 12, we are guaranteed to get one of those spots, which would be an awful
that's the stupidest thing. There's no way that happens, though, right?
You cannot give that kind of concession to anyone.
Besides,
Notre Dame would be like 5th or 6th or 7th on the list of teams that would deserve annual inclusion.
Yeah.
No matter what.
And basically that would tell Notre Dame it doesn't matter who is scheduled every year. We can schedule whoever we want.
Run the table.
What a bunch of meaningless games, and I'm so sick of this Notre Dame.
If
garbage.
That's the case, join the MAC. Go 12-0. Beat the tar out of Toledo, and say, hey, we went on a magical run. And hey, the leprechaun of Lyman is back, and he says, don't you know that when Notre Dame plays at ACC stadiums, they sell out 90% of the time? That was yesterday's talking point.
And you know what? One quick thing on this whole Notre Dame thing. Maybe I'm just missing the ratings, and I'm sure somebody will text in, and leprechaun of Lyman will tell me, maybe I'm missing, I understand the draw. I understand the ready, yada, yada, yada. It's not Ohio State. It's not. You're not Ohio State. You think you have the biggest brand. You think you have the biggest program. You're not Ohio State. Ohio State has a bigger brand, in my opinion. Ohio State has a better product year in and year out. So, let's put this mantra to bed that Notre Dame's the gold standard of college football. Diesel, Notre Dame really hasn't been relevant outside of last year. I mean, every now and then they're good, but I think I'm so sick of this, man.
Yeah, again, not to get too deep into it, but I think Pete Bivak was done more damage to Notre Dame's reputation than the ACC did to the relationship with Notre Dame. Remember, you still compete in 24 sports as full members, okay? You got a lot on the line by being a jerk the way that they have been. And the college football world is now all against you. And you may say, well, we don't care. We're Notre Dame. We're going to do our own thing. Well, everyone thinks you're wrong on this. And I've seen Notre Dame fans dig their heels in. No, we're right. Pete Bivak said this. This guy said that. So back to Jim Phillips. He's fighting Notre Dame. He's now fighting for a 16-team college football playoff where he's now got to go up against the SEC, who wants a 16-team model, and they are kind of in alignment. But he's battling now with the commissioner of the Big Ten that wants 16 teams, but wants automatic qualifiers. They want 4 for themselves, guaranteed, plus a few more. They want 4 for the SEC, guaranteed, plus a few more at large. I guarantee you that the Big Ten and the SEC do not want to give the ACC or the Big 12 4 automatic qualifiers. So if the Big Ten gets this, then they get to codify a huge chunk of this playoff and bring it to themselves, even if in the unlikely scenario, Virginia Tech gets better under James Franklin, or Florida State gets better and gets back, and Clemson gets back. What if the ACC has 5 playoff eligible teams one year? Don't laugh too hard. Don't fall out of your chair. What'd you just say? Yeah, just pretending for the sake of argument that the ACC came up and had 5 playoff caliber teams. Guess what? You don't get them. You don't get them because you already signed a deal giving that away. Jim Phillips said, quote, "We have good teams being left out. I think we have that responsibility to make sure we get to a number that we feel better about, that either we believe anybody after that wouldn't necessarily win a national championship. You can make that argument from 5 on down if you want to, or we should at least try to cut into that margin. I don't know what we can get done in the next 6 weeks, but we're committed to staying together and working with the management committee to figure this thing out." So he wants immediate expansion before the clock runs out, because they have until, I think, mid-January, and that's due to an extension that they pushed on this thing to try to have time to figure out what they want to do. So he's racing against the clock. He's now also fighting against the ESPN College Football Playoff Selection Show. Yeah. He doesn't like that this thing is stretched out over the course of 5 weeks, and there's an hour and a half show every Tuesday saying these are the teams that are in, because he doesn't like the fact that a precedent was set of Notre Dame feeling like they were in all the way up until the point that they were not, even though we all know that those results are unofficial. There's an asterisk on those 5 weeks. The only one that really matters is the last one.
You know, I'm glad you brought that up, because last night, or the night, I think it was actually Tuesday night, Diesel, I was having a conversation with a Notre Dame fan. And jokingly, I asked him who Notre Dame played Saturday, right? It was a basketball game, and he didn't like that question. But he got to talking about Notre Dame, and he brought up what you just said. And one thing that I pushed back was, with him was, I said the same thing that you just said. He brought up as a Notre Dame fan that he had big issue with Notre Dame being in that next to last ranking. And I said, look, if you're voting for a president and an hour before the election polls are official, or the polls are official, the votes are counted, one candidate may be leading, guess what? You're not going to say in an hour, well, that's not fair because an hour ago we were leading.
Yeah.
This, for whatever reason, I am absolutely dumbfounded that Notre Dame fans cannot understand and have a problem with, well, in the next to last rankings, we were in. And so how are we going to be in the next to last rankings, but in the very last rankings, we're not in? I don't know what it takes to get the point across to you Notre Dame fans that those rankings, the next to last rankings, Diesel, and the rankings from a month ago had nothing to do with the final rankings. Why is that so hard to understand?
When you watch election coverage, there's always that little asterisk in the bottom corner, and it'll say, we're calling. We at Fox News or we at CNN, we are calling this county or this state for this candidate. But there's always a little asterisk in the bottom corner of the screen that says only 65% of precincts have reported their numbers. Maybe that call ends up being correct. Most of the time it is, because they analyze these trends and they know where these counties are probably going to vote. But that doesn't necessarily mean for sure. You cannot choose an elected candidate based off of the unofficial numbers.
The last poll.
Yeah, exactly.
It blows my mind. I'm telling you, I'm not trying to be mean, but if you're that ignorant, I mean, my gosh, it's very simple.
Yeah, well, it's ignorance and it's also thick-headedness.
Well, what Navy in it, Diesel, a couple of weeks ago? What Navy in? Well, why was Navy in it a month ago, but they weren't in it last Sunday? Yeah. What are we doing here, people?
We were ranked number 1 in week number 2. Yeah. How is it possible that we could possibly – that'd be like Clemson complaining that they got left out because they were a preseason top 5 team. Yeah. Cole, on top of those fires that Jim Phillips is trying to fight, he is now also trying to fight the ACC tiebreaker protocol because Miami didn't make the ACC championship. We all know Miami was better than Duke. They didn't make the ACC championship game. Now Jim Phillips is working on tweaking that policy, and he's looking. And this is a terrible.
Who didn't make the ACC?
Miami.
Gotcha.
Yeah. He is, and this is a bad idea. Go with me on this if you want. He's talking about implementing college football playoff rankings into the protocol of how you choose who goes to the ACC championship. And that is a terrible idea because you're letting a committee of idiots. A lot of people think these guys are idiots. You're going to let them decide who gets to play in your conference championship game.
Didn't we have a really, really good solution to this just a few years ago? Didn't we have a really good solution to this whole problem? What if we took half the teams, Diesel, and put them in one bracket, one division, and took the other half and put them in another division?
Oh, my God. It's like they did it to themselves.
We can't find getting rid of divisions are the big – I as a diehard college football fan, getting rid of divisions were one of the biggest icks I've ever had.
Before that, we had an even more elegant solution. Conferences were no bigger than 10 teams. You played everybody in your conference every year. You had very clear and obvious rankings and standings within your conference because everybody played everybody. And then these conferences started getting greedy and inviting this team and that team. And you get into a position where you make it much, much more difficult to find a clear and evident winner of your conference.
Yeah, we just need more, though. That's what it all boils down to. Every conference has gotten more. Every conference has put more teams in. You've said it multiple times this week. It's more. And, why are the NFL playoffs so great? Well, the NFL's not adding more teams. If the NFL starts adding more teams, Diesel, guess what? Probably going to start having some issues. There might be a team in the NFL this year that wins 10 games that gets left out. That doesn't happen often, but adding more, when you do that, like the college football conferences have done, this is what you get.
Yeah, and the NFL system is not perfect, but people have accepted it.
That's pretty close.
That's the thing. People have accepted it. You can say that your team doesn't get your division doesn't get a team in the playoff, or you could be a really good team that finishes second in your division, and you may not get in. You may not get in. So, and like I said, fans have learned to accept it. Fans have not accepted this 12-team playoff and the consequences that have come from the 12-team playoff. And see, the NFL, I mean, I don't know when the last time was they tweaked their playoff rules and how often they tweaked their playoff rules, but we are in a point now where we're tweaking the college football playoff every single year. Fans are never going to have an opportunity to get used to the system because they change the system every single year. And the last point I'm going to make on Jim Phillips and wanting to use college football playoff rankings as a component. Look, I'm all for, independence and setting your own rules. I mean, heck, if you want to make the 10th tiebreaker how cute the cheerleading squad is, if you run out of other ways to measure them on the field. But in some small sense, I do agree with Jim Phillips that there needs to be some kind of uniformity across the way all these conferences set up their champions and their tiebreakers.
There does need to be more uniformity, but guess what? Jim Phillips ain't that guy, right? Like, he's not the guy that's going to get anywhere with that. Now, if it's Greg Sankey, maybe. Greg Sankey has pull. Does Jim Phillips have any pull? I don't know. And we talked about this in multiple conversations as well. This might be the worst commissioner. I mean, this guy's he just doesn't have any kind of wherewithal.
Jim's job is to echo what Greg Sankey wants to do. It's to echo what, Petiti wants to do, if that's how he feels, and say, all right, we're going to hitch our wagon to either the Big Ten or the SEC. We're going to go along with what they want to do because that's our best bet to still get ours as well.
Texter says, why must we watch Alabama versus Oklahoma? We've already seen that game. Another texter says Alabama should not be in, period. They have the worst loss of Florida State of all playoff teams. Steve Squared getting his upset pick in, very upsetting, doing the same. Texter from the 491 says, if it's an MOU in the contract for the playoffs, that if they are ranked in the top 14 or 16, however big the playoff is, they'd be one of the automatic bids, not a guarantee to get in every year, just if ranked inside the top 14, 16. It doesn't matter. Why
That's a guarantee. One team should not have the same same guarantees as an entire conference.
Why are we giving one team that?
That's what, and I'm sorry I'm picking on you, but hey, you're our resident Notre Dame fan. That's what Leprechaun of Lyman can't get through his thick skull right now. That's what Notre Dame fans can't get through their thick skulls right now. You are not equivalent to entire conferences. No matter how you feel, no matter how special you think you are not that special. You're another great program, but you are not worth the equivalent of entire conferences.
And I don't think they're as relevant as they think they are, just to be quite frank. I don't think they're as relevant as they think they are. I mean, they're a good program. You said it, but I think there's some elitism that those Notre Dame fans have that's I don't know why. Let's see. Texter gets in from the 266 and says, 2 comments. Miami finished 3rd and was selected over 2 teams who finished in front of them, Duke and Virginia. You can never select a team over teams that finished in front of them. Imagine the Orioles going to the playoffs from 3rd place instead of the Yankees or Blue Jays who finished in front of them. Well, Texter, the problem is conference championships, period. You get rid of them, and guess what? I don't think you'll have that issue.
You almost have to make your conference championship games independent of the playoff. Like, hey, if you want to go play a conference championship game, be on television, make some extra money, fine, go do it. But these have no effect whatsoever.
What I'm saying. Remember a couple of weeks ago, I said, hey, play them, release the rankings, and then play the conference championships, right? So put out the final rankings, bam, the rankings are done, and then the next weekend, go play your meaningless conference championship game, whatever you want to call it.
At least then you have a baked-in excuse. If you're Alabama and you get run off the field by Georgia, you could say, oh, well, it was a meaningless conference championship game. We were saving it for the playoff.
Playoffs. What are we doing? This whole thing. It's a mess. Diesel, we briefly touched on this in the very first segment of the show, but I want to pull up some Vegas odds that I do find intriguing. I tweeted out earlier today that I just don't understand this whole Kalen DeBoer to Michigan dilemma. Gotten a little pushback, gotten a few text messages that are intriguing. Where are we on this? Why would Kalen DeBoer leave Alabama to go to Michigan? Let's get into that next. in the world, Diesel, Tolos out there in the upstate of South Carolina, would Kalen DeBoer leave Alabama to go to Michigan? Why would a man leave a house, a nice house, I tell you, to go to another house with a lot of caution tape on the outside? The gravel that enters the driveway is a little loose, right? You might turn an ankle, Diesel. You might trip a little bit. And then, again, you have to dodge and duck and weave under more red tape, under more police caution tape as you try to enter the house. That's the question, and I want to hear from you, Tolos, out there at 844-326-3663. Hub City Spartanburgers text line is open. Phone lines are open as well. Put this on Twitter earlier today, Diesel. Here's how it goes. I said, look, I don't understand why Kalen DeBoer would leave Alabama to go to Michigan. Well, within an hour, no lie, within an hour, I get two different text messages. I can't say from who they were from, but people who are like kind of in the know that are in the right circles. And both of the text messages were very similar in the sense of, hey, this might not be as far-fetched as you think. And I'm like, huh? What? What am I missing? What am I missing here, Diesel? Why would Kalen DeBoer leave Alabama, the gold standard, to go to this mess right now?
If Kalen DeBoer left Alabama right now, the entire narrative would be he was scared, couldn't hack it, couldn't hold up to the pressure. I mean, the pressure would be why.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, yeah, he had pressure at Washington, but he was winning like crazy at Washington. So I doubt that there was much in the form of pressure. At Alabama, you lose a game to anybody. Doesn't matter if they're ranked higher than you. You lose that game, you're going to have the weight of that fan base coming down on you. Even if you've just won them 9 games this year, 10 games. Who are you? You're not one of us. You should be fired. If I win the lottery, the first thing I'm going to do is pay your buyout and get your ass out of here. Leave Alabama. You ain't one of us. I mean, that would be the narrative.
But aren't both jobs kind of pressure point kind of jobs?
Yes, they are.
I mean,
you step right into another rivalry just as bitter as the Iron Bowl.
Yeah.
You step into a situation where if you lose to Purdue,
you're done.
You're done.
You're done.
It's just like losing to Vandy of old, not this Vandy, but the old Vandy. You can't do it.
So I find this fascinating. And again, in just a second, we're going to look at some Vegas odds. And Diesel, a lot of these books right now have Kalen DeBoer as the odds-on favorite to be the next head football coach at Michigan. Now, to be fair, Vegas does not hire football coaches. A lot of times is Vegas correct? Yes, they are. But Vegas is not the end-all, be-all when it comes to, who gets hired, who gets fired. I'll give you an example. Kalen DeBoer, according to a lot of books in Vegas, Diesel was the odds-on favorite to be the next head football coach at Penn State. We all know that did not happen. James Franklin left Penn State. Now they've got Matt Campbell. So my point being, just because Vegas has Kalen DeBoer, some books have Kalen DeBoer as the odds-on favorite, doesn't mean that's going to happen. But it does mean something, right? Like Vegas knows enough to me, Diesel, and tell me if you disagree. The fact that Kalen DeBoer is the front runner in a lot of these books, doesn't that mean something? I'm not saying that Vegas knows something we don't know, but it just seems odd that a lot of these different sites would have Kalen DeBoer as the front runner if it weren't true.
I don't think there's any truth to it whatsoever. I think it comes down to, well, whose names are you going to attach to a list like this in order to get people to retweet it and share it? I think it's just...
Well, that don't have anything to do with the bookies, though.
I think it's all for the clicks. But who's telling the bookies? Do you really think somebody's calling up the bookies and saying, hey, I think Kalen really wants to go to Michigan. I don't think Kalen's happy here at Alabama. I don't think they're happy with him. Like, do you think the bookies are getting that inside information too?
I think the truth lies somewhere in the middle. I think bookies like Vegas odds, again, I don't think they're the end-all be-all, but I do think there's something. I think there's something to it right now. Like, for example, if you go look on, let's see what book this is. It doesn't have the name of the book, but this is one of the most recent books I've seen, right, from Vegas. Kalen DeBoer is 4-1 to be the next Michigan head football coach. Jesse Minter is 5-1. Joe Brady, who's with the Buffalo Bills, is 6-1. Jed Fish, 7-1. Jeff Brom, 8-1. Kenny Dillingham, Diesel. Lincoln Riley, 9-1 odds.
Didn't all these guys just sign new contracts with their schools? And
a lot of them.
They're not going anywhere when big-time jobs were open?
10-1 odds. How about this for you? Brian Daboll, Dan Mullen. Gets even better. You ready? 12-1 odds. Marcus Freeman, PJ Fleck at 14-1. Dan Lanning. Throw Dan Lanning's name out there, right? Because he's definitely leaving Oregon. Josh Heupel, Manny Diaz. So again, I want to be clear. I'm not saying this is the gospel. This is what's going to happen. It's just fascinating that Kalen DeBoer is the odds-on favorite right now.
Yeah, I just look at all of it like fishing, right? You're fishing for clicks. You're fishing for shareability and virality on sites because, and I don't think this information comes out about a lot of head coaches that are thinking about moving on to other opportunities. I just don't think anybody knows. I don't think anybody has heard anything from anyone that's credible. Like, do you really think Kalen DeBoer is telling his agent or telling his wife, who's telling her hairdresser, who's telling somebody who's calling up Vegas, hey, MGM Hotel, guess what I just heard? I just heard that Kalen's not happy here in Alabama. Well, who are you? I cut Kalen's wife's hair down at the Maxi Cuts.
No,
I don't think that's happening.
I don't think that's happening, but I do think these circles are pretty tight. What do I mean by that? The text message that I got earlier from someone, and again, I can't reveal who it was, but somebody who has a source that was very plugged in, and I can't reveal how plugged in because that would narrow down who this person could be. But again, I'm just reading parts of I can't tell you what the text message said, but two different text messages from people who are in circles, important circles today, texted me and said, it might not be as far-fetched as you think. There was a preconceived notion, Diesel, that a few weeks ago, somebody told somebody that Michigan was going to fire Moore, and that DeBoer was going to leave Alabama for Michigan. So this is just kind of like, you know, how you and I are in these radio circles and we talk to this person.
Sure.
They're these circles. I don't think it happens. I don't think it does. I think Kalen DeBoer it'd be a mistake to leave Alabama. I said on, I think, Facebook or TikTok or Twitter earlier that Alabama was the gold standard. And somebody came back and said, well, no, they're not the gold standard anymore, that Nick Saban's gone. Okay, if they're not the gold standard, they're still one of the top 3 jobs in college football, right? Alabama is. Come on.
I mean, you could make a logical argument that maybe Kalen DeBoer, who is from South Dakota, by the way, would want to go up there because it feels more like home. Well, if that was the case, why did he take the job at Fresno State? That's pretty far from home. And then he moves up to the job at Washington. That's still pretty far from home. And then he takes the job at Alabama. That's even farther from home. So I think Kalen has shown a pattern of not making decisions based on how can I be closer to where I grew up as a kid. You know, I don't know. And again, maybe he's not happy at Alabama. I don't know. Maybe he feels, browbeaten by the Alabama fandom for losing games when it's incredibly hard to win football games in the SEC. And a lot of other schools in that conference have caught up to what Alabama was doing since Nick Saban left. But that's not to say that he's not going to walk right back into a very similar situation at Michigan, where he's going to be browbeaten by a fan base that expects to be competing for national championships, that wants you to beat Ohio State almost more than they want to win national championships. So it's out of the frying pan into the fire. I don't think that it's, that much less pressure to be at Michigan than it is at Alabama.
JB on the YouTube stream says DeBoer is not leaving. He'll only leave if he gets fired. He's lost 7 games in 2 years. Shane Barrett on the YouTube stream says everyone else can pay players now, so Alabama isn't as superior. And I get that, Shane. They're not as superior. And that's coming from somebody, and Shane, who lives in Tuscaloosa. I believe he still lives in Tuscaloosa. Correct me if I'm wrong there, Shane. I talked to a former Alabama player this morning about it, and a good friend of mine, and he said that he wouldn't foresee that happening, Diesel, that Kalen DeBoer would leave Alabama to go to Michigan. So, yeah, I mean, what do we know, right? And ultimately only Kalen DeBoer knows, but I still do think that there's something to be said about, like, the fact that a lot of these books have him as the front runner. Now, I want to be very clear if you just tuned in, Tolos. By the way, shout out to the 285 Tolos watching on the stream. Good numbers on YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook. Now 286. Also want to hear from you on the Hub City Spartanburgers text line. Do you think DeBoer would leave? Yes or no, texters. Tolos, do you think DeBoer would leave Alabama for Michigan? Yes or no, 844-326-3663. How is that move? Is that a lateral move? Is that a move down? Is that a move up? How would we classify the move, Diesel? If it were to happen, Kalen DeBoer leaves Alabama to go to Michigan. I would look at it as a somewhat lateral move.
Sure.
Right? Not up, not down,
Yeah. I mean, it's lateral. Both these programs are sitting in roughly the same spot. They're competing in roughly the same area as far as recruiting rankings. They're probably competing over some of the same recruits. I mean, you could say, well, he's leaving the conference that used to win national championships and going to the conference that's currently winning national championships. But that's a year-by-year situation.
It's fluid.
It's very, very possible that the SEC wins the title this year and swings that narrative back the other direction.
Now with an IL, man, it's fluid, as fluid as it's ever been. Shane talking about living in Tuscaloosa. He says, for now, but I'm entering the transfer portal. Oh, is there a transfer portal NIL deal in Greenville back home? Shane Barrett, let us know about that. Buckeye Mike says lateral move. I think so, too. Madcraft says, you talking about Menor from the Chargers? No.
Buckeye Mike, does the possibility of Kalen DeBoer at Michigan scare you more than Sherrone Moore did?
That's a good question. Answer that, Buckeye. I'd like to.
And look, if Kalen takes his job now, then he would be leaving Alabama without having accomplished anything.
Nothing.
Nothing. He hadn't won anything.
He said
Alabama.
Absolutely, by the way, to answer your question.
There you go.
A little bit more, a lot more. Let's see. Did I miss anything? JB said from Bama to Michigan would be a slight step back, in my opinion. Texter from the 230 says, guys, DeBoer looks miserable. Well, did DeBoer look miserable in Washington? Did we look at how he looks?
Does he look miserable? Or is that just his face?
Does he have RBF? I mean, I don't know. What does his face look like? I didn't examine and study Kalen DeBoer's RBF at Michigan or at Washington, right? If he just doesn't look happy, I don't know. Maybe that's just the way that, like Diesel said, maybe that's the way he looks. Some people look miserable.
I noticed how you skipped over Eric Hines' text. Why'd you do that?
Honest to God, first time reading it. Let me read it out loud, though. Eric Hines says,
I thought you were avoiding it.
No, kind of like the 4-1 odds that Dak Prescott is going to choke. Fly, Eagles, fly. I think that's a wonderful text, given the fact the Eagles have not done any flying as of late, Diesel. They have been grounded, like, the terminal radioed in and said, hey, you guys get not 1 week, not 2 weeks, but 3 weeks in a row. Those Eagles, Eric, have been grounded. So I don't want to hear it from you today. Are you kidding me?
Did you notice how Nick Saban, after he left working for Alabama, he's a smiley, happy guy all of a sudden? Like he was a miserable, angry person at Alabama. He just kept winning national championships. And like the question was that his personality? He was just like that at LSU too.
He was locked in.
Felt like he got angrier the longer he stayed in Tuscaloosa. It's Wire to Wire with Diesel and Cole Bryson. Going to be going to the phone lines here in just a second.
Dale, baby.
Dale, what's up, Dale?
Wants to weigh in. What do you think, old Dale?
Hey, I got something for old Eagle Boy over there. If I remember correctly, Jalen Hurts did just set NFL history as the first quarterback to throw a pick and fumble on the same play.
Well, at least he made history. That's a good thing, right?
He did. Hey, he will forever be in the record book as turnover first.
He's a bum. He's a bum. He's a bum, I tell you.
The only thing he can do is squat 600 pounds. What's he do? What's that get you?
Tush push.
Can't throw the ball with the leg. Anyway, upset picks challenge.
Oh, 2 weeks in a row from you?
Everything through what? Through the playoff
Christmas.
games, the first round of playoff games?
Christmas.
Everything through Christmas.
Everything through Christmas.
Or up to Christmas.
I would like to propose a wild card, if I may.
No, you may not.
No, you don't even want to hear it.
What is your wild card?
Well, I was thinking if this is the upset picks challenge, if I do not believe that there is an upset to be picked,
Just hang
and
up the
I
phone.
take every favorite, can I get a point for each game played?
You get
However,
minus 10.
I get minus 10. So if I were, well, no, I was just saying.
I propose a wild
there is an
card
upset, I lose
that Dale
everything.
gets minus 10.
Minus 10 if I lose or get all.
Just minus 10.
There
for-
is no wild
just
card,
minus
Dale.
10 for
Minus
proposing
10
something
okay.
like this.
All right. So with that being said, give me Boise State.
Okay. That's a long walk for a short drink. Thanks, Dale.
I guess good call. I guess Dale's a trip. But at least he's a Cowboys fan. So that's he's got that going for him. Big game tonight, by the way, NFC South. If you're a Panther fan, like tonight's really important, Diesel. Like really, really important. So we'll get to that a little bit later on in the show.
Yes, we will.
As well.
When we come back, and we appreciate RJ for dropping this little nugget on the text line as we get busy talking about other things. It's hard
Chicken
to
nugget?
watch. It's hard to watch Twitter and see what's going on live in real time. But it seems as if another coach needy team has just found their guy.
Oh,
who is it?
what?
That's next. Well, I got some bad news for you Clemson Tiger fans. It appears that Garrett Riley is not going to be the next head coach at Coastal Carolina, and he is not going to be taking some of his assistants with him. At least the news appears to be heading in the direction that Ryan Beard, the 3-year head football coach of Missouri State, will take over as the next head football coach at Coastal Carolina. Cole, I am massively underwhelmed by this hire if I'm a Coastal fan.
Mm.
And I know you're probably like, who's Ryan Beard?
That's kind of how I
don't know nothing about him, right?
Look, I get it's number one, it's Coastal. Number two, we are in a year where everybody, 29 teams are looking for coaches. So it's slim pickings, right?
You can't tell me there was not an elite FCS head coach who was willing to take a jump up into the FBS, play at Coastal. Look, as much as I have a disdain for Coastal as one of my team's rivals, they have a lot of riz. You know, they had the glow in the dark jerseys for their game this year. They had one game this year, Cole, where they had a Civil War or Revolutionary War reenactment on the field at halftime. That's amazing. I mean, they know they're all over coming up with fun and compelling promotional ways to get their name out there. And then you go and hire a coach that is 19-16.
Yeah.
Why?
It's definitely higher, right? It's not a sexy hire. I thought Garrett Riley would have a good opportunity to get that job.
As did I. I thought he'd do really well there.
Maybe we're discounting what this guy can do. We'll see. I don't think so. It is very, very surprising. That's a interesting hire by Coastal.
I mean, they're going to a bowl game, the Xbox Bowl, tied for 4th this year.
Is that really the name of the bowl?
I guess so. That's what it says here. 5-3 in Conference USA, 7-5 overall. He is 19-16, so 3 games above 500 in his 3 years as a head coach. Maybe there's going to be some massive jump in resources at Coastal Carolina compared to Missouri State. Just don't know. It's going to be interesting to watch that and see how he does. But hey, Coastal going young. He's only like 36 years old.
Well, maybe he's the next up-and-coming guy.
Maybe
they found gold, right?
Speaking of up-and-coming, this might be the first time we've heard from Dre on these airwaves before. He wants to talk about Notre Dame. Dre.
Hey, what's up, guys?
What's up, man?
Thanks for taking my call. Sorry if I'm regurgitating something that has already been said. I just hopped in the car and heard the tail end of the conversation. But the reason why I think Notre Dame clearly should have been included in the playoffs, when the rankings came out, they were 10 and Miami was 18. And from that point, both teams went 4-0, common opponents. Notre Dame, boat race Syracuse 70-7. Miami beat them 38-7. Pittsburgh, I think Miami beat them 38-7. Notre Dame, it was 38-15. Pittsburgh scored a touchdown, a 2-point conversion against the backups with like 15 seconds left in the game.
But Dre, none of those previous rankings matter.
Perhaps that's my failed understanding of the system that none of those previous rankings matter.
Well, and Dre, I would also say that beating up on Syracuse 70-7 would be like beating up on Dorman High School 100-0. Like it doesn't prove anything.
I agree. You could certainly make the argument that, Notre Dame's record of, I don't know what it is, 47-5 against the ACC over the past 7 years. Like maybe that's just another reason we shouldn't fuel the dumpster fire that is the ACC by giving them 5 games a year. So that 23% average attendance in ACC games doesn't go up to 90% attendance when Notre Dame comes to town.
Yeah, but that's not what that stat means. That stat means 23% of games are sellouts when Notre Dame is not in the game. 90% of the games are sellouts when Notre Dame plays an ACC team. So it doesn't mean the stands are a quarter full.
You're right. I apologize. Thank you for the clarification. Nevertheless, when Notre Dame comes to town, it's a big deal. And so the head-to-head comparison of why that's completely irrelevant. It was week 1. CJ Carr is a freshman quarterback on the road. Jeremiah Love got 10 carries. Jajarian Price got 6. New defensive coordinator and Chris Ash this is 4 months ago almost.
So what? Was it this season or not?
Well, so no, let me make a comparison. So to make a comparison, the Raiders played the Patriots in week 1 of the NFL season, and the Patriots got boat raced. Like, it's so long ago, it's irrelevant. And Alabama getting in. So if you don't like the Miami argument, which again, the only reason Miami gets in is because the ACC is desperate for money, and they had to have it. And so they're like, we got to have an ACC representative because our conference is broke. So let's put Miami in because Jim Phillips can't figure out how to do anything. But so that's fine. Put them in. Then Alabama is the first team in the history of conference championships not to drop a spot when losing. And Alabama's a dumpster fire. Like, the idea that that's a top 3 job is laughable. Alabama's not a top 10 job.
Right.
So they're
what
like,
are you drinking?
I mean, this is just a fact.
Dre,
Like,
if you were floating in a bowl of milk, you'd be paddling so hard you turn it into cream. Like, dear God, man, like, you have bought so deep into this, you can't see your way out. Your athletic director is a tool. Your athletic director is tone deaf. Your athletic director doesn't realize that the entirety of the college football world is dunking on you. The only people that agree with you are other Notre Dame fans. That's called an echo chamber. No one has your back on this.
So then why do we get a guaranteed top 12 spot coming next year?
You don't have a guaranteed top 12 spot. You've requested one. Doesn't mean you're going to get it.
Oh, no, it's already been done. If we're in the top 12 next year, Notre Dame will make the playoff, and that's for the next 6 years going forward.
Dre, let me ask you
right now.
Let me ask you a question. My question to you: why didn't Notre Dame beat Miami?
Because it was the first game of the year.
No. You still have to play in the first game of the year. Well, since when did that become? It's the same season.
That's true.
Florida State
beat Alabama in the first game of the year.
Right, and Alabama played in a conference championship game.
Right, and so compare their 2 performances against Georgia. Georgia 2.5 months ago in Athens, they won 24-21. 2.5 months later, they get boat race 28-7, and it wasn't even that close, and they rushed for -3 yards. Nobody thinks Alabama is a top 10 team.
Well,
Kalen DeBoer doesn't think Alabama is a top 10 team, and he's going to leave and go to Michigan because now the NIL money matters. Car salesmen are not going to fuel Alabama's NIL funds where they can compete in the SEC on a regular basis. LSU's a better job. Notre Dame's a better job. Michigan's a better job. Ohio State's a better job. The list goes on and on and on. Alabama was not relevant forever until Saban made them relevant. Saban's gone. He's not riding back in. Alabama is an irrelevant football program.
Dre,
you think they're going to be dominant in the SEC again? Who Saban was is who Kirby Smart is. That's Georgia's league in the foreseeable future. We'll see what Lane Kiffin does.
We'll see. Dre, by the way, very much appreciate the phone call. Call back
Dre.
more often, please. Good conversation.
Yeah.
And that just segues us into the Tolo takeover. We need to lock the phone lines up. 844-326-3663. My gosh, we should have saved that for 5 o'clock. That was strong there by Dre, the Notre Dame faithful. We need the phone lines lit up. We can tail off of that. We can go whatever direction you want to go at 844-326-3663. Well, Tolos, you hear the horns, you hear the boxing bell, and it is time for the Tolo Takeover at 844-326-3663. We be quiet. We shut up. We let you Tolos out there take over these airwaves just as Dre did a few minutes ago. And I tell you what, Diesel, Dre did a fantastic job. Kudos, even though you and I disagreed with Jay, kudos on the call.
You know, I did some digging into this MOU that Dre was talking about, which stands for Memorandum of Understanding, about Notre Dame getting a guaranteed playoff spot if they finish within the top 12. Well, here's the interesting thing about this. This was reported from Ross Dellinger of Yahoo Sports that a MOU is in place. However, according to another source, this MOU is a non-binding agreement. So it sounds like they just signed this thing like, yeah, sure, Notre Dame, just go away. Like, yeah, we'll sign your little paper, but it's not binding.
So it's preliminary,
I guess.
Right?
I mean, contracts are a fun thing, man. Like there's a guarantee, but it's not really a guarantee. It's a guarantee if. It's an interesting concept, and maybe they had to do it to get Notre Dame's participation or to keep them happy or something.
Yeah, I get it. I just think that I'm so sick of this, like, hey, we run college football elitism. I think that's my biggest problem. And Tolos, if you missed it, Tolo Takeover, Dre gave a perfect example of what the Tolo Takeover is, even though it was the last segment.
Other Notre Dame fans, that's called.
Here's an example, just so you know.
Has your back on this.
So then why do we get a guaranteed top 12 spot coming next year?
You don't have a guaranteed top 12 spot.
Come at us. Bring the heat. Let's go, Tolos. Line it up. 844-326-3663. Don't be a lame duck. Get on the phone lines. Kalen DeBoer, maybe to Michigan. Want to talk about that? Let's talk about it. You want to talk about Sherrone Moore and the Citizen of the Month Club? Let's talk about that as well. Want to talk about something completely random. You're upset about your wife. Every week we get one Tolo. Who was it last week? Dale. Dale was upset at his wife for something. Tolo Takeover starts now. We go to Bryant with a T, he said. Bryant with a T. What's up, man? That's your new name, by the way.
Hey, that is my name. But listen, two things. Michigan, y'all think Kalen
what's your name?
I'm going to give you two things. Like Bo Simbeck was saying once, I want a Michigan man coaching Michigan.
Ooh.
And for that, you can Google Tony Anise. He's going up for his fourth Division II National Championship at Ferris State, Michigan. And he's won everywhere he's been. High school, junior college. That's who they need to hire.
And who is that again? Because I was answering the 40. Who did he say?
Tony Anise at Ferris State University.
Whoa.
They're actually playing Newberry this weekend
What's
in
your
the
name?
semifinal of the Division II. He would have won it 4 years in a row if they suspended him a couple years ago because one of the guys smoked a cigar at the championship game, and it's at McKinney, and you can't smoke it in the school district.
Like
and they suspended him.
Like in Dallas?
Yeah, down in McKinney, Texas.
Okay, yeah.
So another controversy surrounding a Michigan man. That's interesting, Brian. Good God, there's a magnet for this stuff.
What do you think about all kidding aside, though, Bryant, your thoughts? DeBoer, Michigan, no? Like it? What do you think?
I don't really. I mean, it's okay, I guess. If we see what this is one thing. I was listening to a podcast of a guy. He's a Michigan man, and he said, Michigan fans are delusional because they think that their program is at the level of Ohio State, and it's not, because Ohio State competes every year for the national championship.
Ooh.
And we don't. But the thing is, we got to get a guy that's going to do that. I'm telling you, Google, like Kirk Signetti said, Google me. Google Tony Anise. You'll see what I mean. He gets players. He's in Big Rapids, Michigan, man. It snows like I'm from that West Michigan area. He coached at Muskegon High School, where I'm from.
Wow.
He won multiple championships. Google the man. That's who they need. He's a little bit older now, but he can set the foundation so Michigan could be great for a long time. That's who they need to get.
Are y'all willing to elevate a guy from Division II to Michigan?
bro. Look, Google him. I'm giving you the information.
I believe you.
He can listen. Football is football. I don't care what level. Look at Kalen DeBoer, where he came from. NAI. Look at the guy that just left, James Madison, Kurt Sinetti. They all came from somewhere.
True.
I like it.
You got to come from somewhere.
I like it.
Hey,
I'm with it.
Listen, that's who they should get, man. They're gonna beat down Newberry, and when you know what? You know who was his quarterback?
Who's that?
Last national championship? Trinidad Chambliss.
Oh,
and Ole Miss.
okay.
That's where he came from.
Yeah,
that's where he came from. And
I
then
like it.
You guys remember a little while ago, I called in. I told y'all my Denver Broncos are a winning organization, and they back, baby.
They are back. That's legit. Bryant, great phone call,
Fantastic.
man. Love to hear from you more often. He's right. Denver's legit. Can't say anything. You can't say enough about that. But I like it. I love a good call like that, going off the wall. Tony Anise, born in 1961, Ferris State University. I've been there since 2012. Honest to God, don't know about Tony a lot about Tony Anise, but like Bryant said, I Googled him. He went Kurt Signetti there. He went Kurt Signetti. Dan B wants to get in on the Tolo takeover. 844-326-3663. The phone lines are opening up one at a time. They're pretty full right now, but for every caller that drops off, it opens one space for you Tolos out there talking Michigan, Kalen DeBoer, Ferris State University, Newberry. Diesel, we had somebody earlier fussing because we weren't talking about enough about Newberry College
How
this
about that?
weekend.
They came up twice on the show.
I'm sorry, Newberry, all the fine folks listening in Newberry, apologize. What's up, Dan B?
All right, well, I'd like to second Brian's Go Broncos. But no, yeah, I'm also going to switch gears topic-wise and just kind of update those that care about the NASCAR, NASCORT 2025 that just ended today in a settlement.
Bring us to light on that.
Yeah, I'll try to keep it quick. So two of the teams didn't sign the charter last year on September 6th when they had it was kind of like a deadline for 6 p.m., but then it got extended to midnight. But everybody felt like they were being, had a gun to their head. And that's what some of the owners literally said those words in court. So, like all the other big teams, they all signed the charter. And then eventually Denny and Michael Jordan's team, 2311, and Front Row, they lost their charters more than halfway through the year because they had an injunction for a while, but then that went away. So anyway, they went to court, and the judge basically told them at the beginning, you guys really need to settle because if you don't, and NASCAR, if you lose, and I have to come in and do all the stuff, it's going to blow up the sport. So a lot of people were kind of worried about what the outcome of that would look like. So the fact they settled is good. Things we know, the teams are now going to get permanent charters, which was pretty much the biggest sticking point. Jim France, the owner of NASCAR, didn't want that, but he conceded. They also get something called a 5 strikes rule. Don't really know. I mean, it has to do with if they make a new rule and then like if they get vetoed 5 times, I don't know, some weird thing. And the only other thing I know of is that originally they weren't getting money from any international racing. So like the Mexico race this year, they didn't get any of the sponsorship money, the media right money. So that they're going to get. So those are the things I know.
So Michael Jordan won?
Yes, Michael Jordan is now 7-0 in championships.
Well done on that. Well done. So I guess it's a good thing for the sport, right?
Yeah, I think everybody's happy. Denny and Jim France, they had a solid hug, not like a bro hug. They had a solid hug, even though Denny was at odds, and really made it sound like they didn't like each other. But NASCAR was losing the trial day after day. Jordan Bianchi, who you guys used to talk to on Fridays from The Athletic, and then Jeff Gluck, they were doing daily recaps, trying to fill us in on all the boring stuff, trying to make it interesting. But
court cases are pretty boring. Yeah. Well, Dan B, appreciate the NASCAR. Yeah, you got an upset pick yet?
I do. I'll put it in. I'm going to take Memphis.
Oh, you're going with me.
Ooh,
let's go. Do you know I picked that one too?
Yeah, I'm aware.
What's the spread on that? It's Memphis MC State plus 6, right?
6.
6, yeah.
6.
All right.
North Carolina State blows. Like blows. There's no way they win that game. I'm telling you. It's a good pick. I like it.
Thanks, Dan.
Good stuff. And what was your upset pick? Do you remember off the top of your head?
Mine was Boise State over Washington.
Oh, you're going Broncos.
9.5.
One Broncos.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Buckeye Mike on the YouTube stream says that's how I used to feel when Notre Dame used to play How do you say that?
Zishigan?
Zishigan? Sounds
Zishigan?
like one of Elon's kids.
Exigan?
I rooted for a tie every year and was so mad when they put the tiebreaker in.
Yeah, it's Leprechaun of Lyman said, I hope Oklahoma and Alabama spend an eternity with the score being 3-3 and they have 25 overtimes with nobody scoring. I'd love that. And I said, Marcus Freeman will too, from his couch.
Tolos, let's go continue. We got 3 Tolos on hold. 844-326-3663. You choose the topic. It's the Tolo takeover. We go to Madcraft, who's up next. What's up, Mad?
Yeah, so let's address that other fella that was talking a whole lot in that previous segment.
Dre.
What on earth was he talking about?
You tell me, man. You're calling in.
Dude, I don't know. I have no idea. But look, here's my ordeal about it. What they don't seem to understand is that they are a college football brand. They are not the college football brand.
Yeah.
And when the playoffs started to become this thing, and it was, it was an experimentation, it was being changed year in and year out, and it, very clearly what happened was the SEC flexed their muscles because they could, and they kind of manipulated. I'm not going to say cheat, but, using their money, manipulated, kind of influenced a little bit more in their favor. Okay. Notre Dame is trying to do that now, but the problem is that they do not have the same power as the Big Ten or the SEC. They're not a conference. They're one individual team. They do not hold the reins like they think they do. And all they're doing now is burning the one bridge that they had with the one conference that they had at least something with. And all they're doing now is making all these other conferences go, well, yeah, looking at that, I don't know if I want that baggage, and then to top onto that, this MOA thing, that their automatic bid or whatever, they don't understand that that's already becoming a negative. There are athletic directors in some of these conferences that are already threatening to cancel all scheduling futures with Notre Dame. Notre Dame's not going to be playing anybody if they're not careful.
Good.
Yeah, there's this belief I've seen from some Notre Dame fans that, well, if they just burn the bridge and blow up the deal with the ACC, then the SEC is going to jump at the chance to get in bed with them. I'm not so sure. I mean, Greg Sankey is not going to sign up to lay in bed with a snake.
It'd be like Jerry Jones not making the playoffs this year and saying, all right, screw y'all. I'm leaving the NFL. I'm going to have my own league. Like, blow it up. No, even though Jerry, we Dallas Cowboy fans think we, are important. No, we're not the shield. Who was it? Who Bill Russell, he's the NBA logo. Like Golden State in their prime, they weren't Bill Russell's, the NBA logo. Like enough of this Notre Dame hierarchy stuff. I'm so over it.
Yeah, I am too. And like I said earlier, if anybody has ever played a game of Texas Hold'em poker, I said that Notre Dame has shown their cards to us, and all they have is a 6-7 offsuit.
Yeah. And I said, by the way, I said Bill Russell. I meant Jerry West. I'm sorry.
Oh, yeah. But all these other conferences as a whole, they've paired cards on the river. So Notre Dame is like, hey, look, we're all in. And they keep shoving in these chips thinking that their 6-7 offsuited is the brand of college football. It's just not a good hand.
Madcraft, I see what you keep trying to do. You've snuck that in twice, and we're not going to respond.
I know.
Thanks, Mad. All right, Diesel up next. I believe a Tolo that has moved away from the upstate that, according to his comments on the stream, is moving back. Is this Shane Barrett or another Shane?
A Tuscaloosa Tolo.
This is the Tuscaloosa Tolo moving back to Greenville,
baby.
That deserves a clap. Love it. Tuscaloosa Tolo.
Just when you thought you were out, they pulled you back in.
It wasn't hard. Diesel Cole just did the thing that we talked about yesterday. He got the name wrong, but then he corrected it. Proud of you, Cole.
What?
Talking about my pet peeve that announcers do, where they get somebody's name wrong and then they don't correct it.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't hear it. I was driving to the basketball game last night. Diesel, you were solo for that segment, right?
I was, yeah. It was right after you just left.
Yeah.
So what you're saying is you don't get in the car and turn on wire to wire?
I think I was
you don't Tolo?
You're not a Tolo for your own
God.
What the heck, man?
I think I was on the phone. I was on the phone. You did get me. Shut up, Shane. Hey, by the way, can you cut us a promo and say that the reason you're moving from Tuscaloosa is so that you can listen to Wire to Wire? Can you do that?
Yeah, absolutely. Let me get to my take first. I want to further Dre's point about Notre Dame.
Oh God.
Missing the playoff. The MOU part, I did like any team that tries to get special treatment, I completely disagree with. There should not be any team that has some MOU in place to automatically get into the playoff. But when it comes to conference championships, Oregon, Oklahoma, Texas A&M, and Miami all also did not play in their conference championship, yet made the playoff.
Sure.
So the whole conference champion aspect or playing in a conference championship game is clearly not a requirement. And for Notre Dame to be left out, like, I don't think they're ever going to officially join a conference unless it is made a rule by the playoff committee that you have to be a part of a conference to participate, because their contract with NBC is ridiculous. They have exclusive rights to NBC. They're not just going to give that up.
Yeah.
But to refute Dre's point, I am in a very special position to hate Alabama. I'm an Auburn fan and a Notre Dame fan. I hate Alabama with almost every fiber of my being. The only thing holding on to it is that my wife is an Alabama fan. Alabama is a top 1 job, maybe top 2.
Thank you.
With Ohio State being the only job that I think is comparable. And ironically, Notre Dame, but Notre Dame's not losing Marcus Freeman unless they just blow up. So Ohio State and Alabama are the top 2 jobs in the country. Any coach that leaves Alabama, to kind of further answer this question, if DeBoer goes to Michigan, it's a lateral or even slight downgrade, I think. No offense to Michigan, but Alabama has national championship history. They have NFL caliber players all over the field. They can recruit anywhere in the country. There's no coach in his right mind that would not take the Alabama job, except for maybe Alex Golesh, because he's at Auburn, their arch rival. Like, if Alabama comes open, you're not taking your name out of that hat voluntarily.
I'm with you. Good stuff, Shane.
Hey, Shane, good call.
And I am moving back to Greenville, South Carolina, to be a Tolo all the time.
Let's go. You're the best. You're the best. We've got time for one more, Diesel. Can we say these words, saving the best for last, maybe?
Sure. We're saving something for last.
Saving the best for last, because we do have Bill Bender coming up. Dewey, you get the best for last on the Tolo Takeover. You better freaking bring it today, buddy.
Oh, I'm going to change gears some, and I got some things I've been angry about that I need to tell y'all so y'all can understand.
Okay.
First of all, during the summertime and preseason, y'all do all this hyping and talking season and preseason and making all these little predictions. Well, guess what? None of those predictions were correct. And South Carolina was going to go to the playoffs. Well, they suck. Clemson was going to be 11-1 and go to the national championship. Well, they're going to I don't even know what bowl they're going to with Penn State, the pretend toilet bowl. And Kate Klubnik was going to win the Heisman, but he didn't. And Lenore Sellers, he didn't win no Heisman. And Carson Beck, he sucks. And that guy from Texas, he sucks too. So all your predictions were wrong. So my whole point is no more talking season, no more preseason prognostications, because all we did was talk and nothing happened, because then it just sucks because we don't know the future. And we think we just have a crystal ball and can just predict who's going to win and stuff. If that was the case, well, they just shouldn't play the games at all. They should just simulate them like on PlayStation 5.
Dewey, do you want us to turn the radio off, just go dead air from April to August? No content?
Well, we got baseball that starts in April.
For 4 hours a day. That's riveting.
When the Braves suck, nobody wants to talk about the Braves.
Well, the Dodgers, no one want to talk about it. But then you still got the NBA playoffs, you got the hockey playoffs, and then you got golf season, and then NASCAR and gymnastics. And the whole point is the polls, the preseason predictions, it's pointless. It got proved this year. It's pointless. It's wrong. It's a waste of time. And dead air is better than listening to about 50 million ways to South Carolina Gamecocks going to make the playoffs and how Dabo Sweeney's going to win Coach of the Year and be the best of the best.
All right. Thanks, Dewey.
Oh.
We gotta run. I'm
I was
sorry.
expecting him to say we ought to be fired.
I know that was. We got Bill Bender though. We gotta run. That was good stuff, right? Really good stuff.
Bill next. Well, let's talk reputational damage, shall we, with Bill Bender of The Sporting News. Bill, who's done more damage to their reputation, Sherrone Moore or Pete Bavacqua?
Sherrone Moore by a lot. I mean, like this, I know that Twitter poll is, that would be an easy answer. I don't know. I'm not making jokes, but like the fact that he's still in jail is a serious thing that, I mean, I don't know that he'll ever coach again at minimum. And we don't know what the charges might be. And well, I'm sure the details around the incident that happened yesterday after he was fired are going to come out. And they're not going to be great. And, like I was talking to a coworker earlier today, we're probably honestly lucky in some respects that this isn't much worse, and that's saying something. So, yeah, Sherrone's the answer. I mean, we can get into Notre Dame, and I think we will, but I bet you I have a far different opinion than you guys.
Yeah, I cannot wait to hear it, Bill, but I want to know from you, and I think our audience would love to know as well, being a national writer as you are for The Sporting News, can you walk us through, because yesterday – we normally talk to you on Wednesdays at this time. Yesterday about 4, I think we were talking to David Newton of ESPN who covers the Panthers. It was like 4:30 when the news broke. And I looked at my phone during the interview and my eyes just got big. And then a few seconds later, Diesel looked at his phone. His eyes got big. Can you walk us through the timeline of what that day, what that afternoon looked like from your standpoint?
I mean, similar to like those stories are big enough that it becomes, like when Nick Saban retired. Yeah, it starts with, and I apologize that I had to cancel yesterday, but it becomes, okay, we got to look at replacements. Okay, we got to get the details on what happened. And obviously ESPN's Dan Wetzel and Pete Thamel did a great job reporting that. Then you start to think through, okay, I wrote a piece this morning about the 4 major questions Michigan will face. And talked about the reputational damage of the university, the Harbaugh era, Bryce Underwood, whether or not he's going to stay. I think that's like the least important thing. And then, like I said, it makes for, I was supposed to take yesterday off, but that's, I just kind of laughed at my wife. I was like, yeah, I won't be taking today off. And, that's the job and those things happen. And, we got into the whole situation. Like I said, it is ugly. It's not great for Michigan. I do think Ward Manuel's job is in jeopardy next, the athletic director who made that hire.
So Bill, we have a couple of questions about details of this whole situation. A staffer. What exactly does quote unquote a staffer mean? Do we know exactly what position this staffer held?
I mean, the rumors that they're showing it online, and I'd seen her name probably about 5 times today and just kind of glossed over it. And that's the alleged, staffer. So until we have facts on that, I'm not going to speculate on that.
Okay.
It's interesting that you brought up the rumors there, Bill, because there are a lot of rumors going on. How do you, as a writer in your position, differentiate between what's true and what's not true? Your sources, because we've seen rumors that, Coach Moore got her pregnant, and then there was a $50,000 raise, $55,000 raise. How do you find what's true and what's not true in these type of scenarios?
I mean, there'll eventually be a salacious tell-all here, I'm sure. And, the fact that there was credible evidence that there was an inappropriate relationship, and that's what Michigan statement said that I don't know about pregnant, and I don't know about, what exactly the nature of yesterday's incident was that would lead to Sherrone Moore being detained by Washtenaw County police, and there's reports that he might be arraigned and those kind of things. Now the part about him being detained is true. So that means something happened in order for him to be detained. And that's sure to be ugly too. And all of that, like I said, is not great for Sherrone. It's not great for Michigan. And then you're going to get into the next part with Ward Manuel, like, did people know about this at Michigan? And would they have covered it up? That's the cynical side of college sports, where everybody will say, well, had they beat Ohio State, none of this would come out. I'm not going to give that any more air than it needs, but there is a cynical side to college sports where some might believe that to be true.
Bill, by the NCAA rules, what becomes of the 27 recruits or commits that have signed with Michigan this year? Are they allowed to decommit immediately? Do they have to wait until a certain period of time? Will it essentially be entering the transfer portal? What do you make of that situation?
I mean, it's the same situation as Saban, right? That, they opened up the recruitment for guys. And that's why Julian's saying ended up at Ohio State. He was committed to Alabama. He ended up at Ohio State. So, I mean, yeah, you could see some of that. I mean, they're obviously talking about, it's less about the recruits to me and more about everybody's talking about whether or not Bryce Underwood will flip a different or get in the transfer portal and go to a different school. But you know what? Like, if you're Michigan, none of that. I hate to sound however the hell this sounds like, but it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
You need to hire somebody if these things are going on at your school, you need to hire the right guy to fix that first. And if you lose a 5-star quarterback or you lose a couple of recruits out this class, so be it, because you can rebuild in college football quicker than you used to. This used to be the kind of thing that could be devastating for a program for a decade.
Yeah.
If you hire the right guy, it will soften that blow and the short-term embarrassment. And quite frankly, the guy that they should have hired was he got hired by Penn State on Friday. Matt Campbell would have been a great fit at Michigan.
Do you believe Sherrone Moore was being looked at by other universities, other programs around the time of what previous scandals with Michigan and then him being named head coach? You were on the pulse of college football better than anybody. I mean, was he being looked at? Was he being talked about as a hot name?
No. And that's the thing. What Michigan's mistake has been its revisionist history, of course, but the mistake they made was not hiring Kalen DeBoer last time, which I would have done. And because you were already scandal-ridden with Jim Harbaugh, and there's always I know they didn't vacate anything, but that stain's always going to be on that national title. That'll be part of the story at minimum. And now it's just gotten worse for him because Sherrone Moore was a guy that served a suspension that 23 season. He had a one-game suspension that when it's hard to sort out all the suspensions these Michigan coaches had. But, yeah, and then you hired him and you kind of leaned into trying to keep the Harbaugh era going when it was probably time to go a different direction. Kalen DeBoer, I do think it becomes really interesting with him. Had Alabama not got to the playoff, I think there would be an even better chance that Kalen DeBoer would be Michigan's coach. I'm sure there's going to be at least on the Michigan end contact. But another thing to keep in mind here is if Ward Manuel gets fired, that might take a minute. Because how do you hire a coach without an athletic director in your program? So that's going to be a really interesting piece if that happens to Ward Manuel. And there's rumors, I mean, that hasn't happened, but you're seeing a little bit of like, when you have an embarrassment at this level, that could, go right up to the athletic director. It's exactly what happened at LSU.
Find Bill Bender on Twitter at BillBender92. We all know that Jim Phillips is not going to kick Notre Dame out of the ACC. They're not going to sever that relationship. But Pete Bavacqua sounds like he is willing to do that. Do you think he's really willing to do that, or is all this just posturing from Notre Dame?
Well, I mean, they can't by contract, but so that would take a fight there. But, I mean, I'm on Notre Dame's side with everything, with what happened Sunday, with what happened with them being left out of the bowl. They have every right to be angry. What do you guys expect? The ACC Network ran a Miami Notre Dame game for 48 hours against a program they have a relationship with. That'd be bad too. I mean, now you could say that doesn't really matter to the committee and all that, but Notre Dame was ranked ahead of Miami the entire time. And then they switched it. So I just think the committee chose, and my conspiracy theory would be, had Virginia beat Duke, then they wouldn't have put an ACC team in the college football play. Let me say that again. If Virginia would have beat Duke, they would have put Notre Dame in ahead of Miami. Does that make sense?
Well, it does, Bill, but it doesn't. It makes also sense that all of the college football playoff ranking announcements up until the final one have a big old fat asterisk next to them. Like, none of those are official. None of those are a guarantee that because you're here now that you'll be here when the final rankings come out. I mean, Notre Dame seems to feel like they had something taken away from them, but they never had anything at all. It's like trying to grab a handful of water. You got nothing until the final ranking actually comes out. And, you know, Cole and I and a lot of our listeners who are not Notre Dame fans, and believe me, we've had a few come out of the woodworks, we've all kind of taken that same stance. Like, you never really had anything at all.
I disagree. I think they were ranked in the top 10 the entire time, and they didn't do anything to fall outside the top 10. You know, and you can't they just arbitrarily put if they were going to put Miami ahead of them, then why didn't they do it on Tuesday night? You can't argue that, like, Miami did nothing on Saturday to warrant, if anything, Notre Dame got more metrics in their favor because they were already ranked ahead of Notre Dame or ahead of Miami. And then Boise State won the Mountain West Championship, which theoretically that would have gone towards Notre Dame's strength of schedule or victory. There was nothing that happened that benefited Miami other than BYU. This justification that, well, BYU lost and they were ranked back to back, that matters nothing. So I do think Notre Dame had something taken away from them because the committee, at minimum, teased them for a month. And I also don't think Alabama should have been in the – I would have taken – out of the three, I would have left Alabama out.
Wow. Bill,
You can't tell me that Alabama looked like – you cannot tell me straight face that Alabama looks better than Notre Dame in the last month of the season.
I do agree with you on that.
Bill Bender, The Sporting News, joining us as he does normally on Wednesdays, but on Thursday this week, we always love catching up with Bill. What is your stance on Tulane and JMU? I was very adamant all week long that we're wasting spots. It's a 10-team playoff, essentially. Your stance on JMU and Tulane?
Well, I mean, that's the other one. Like, why are they in the playoff over Notre Dame? That's the other pushback I got from some friends. Is like, and some of them admittedly are confused about the format and don't know the rules of engagement and all that. And I said, well, you know, 5 highest ranked conference champions, Duke, that's another wrinkle to the Notre Dame argument. Like, you can't sit here and say you got to play in a conference championship in a conference where they crowned a 5-loss team as their champion. Sorry, that doesn't, you know. And I just pretty impassioned about Notre Dame, and I'm not like a Notre Dame fan or anything. I just think it's ridiculous that they were left out. And I've been pretty strong on that stance. But the same with James Madison and Tulane. One of the complaints that'll circle next week, if those games aren't competitive, is why do we have all these Group of 5 schools in the playoff? You know, most college football fans, even the listeners that are probably shouting at me right now about the whole Notre Dame thing, would probably agree that they would rather watch Oregon versus Texas and Ole Miss versus Notre Dame than the schools that you're going to watch next week that have spreads of 17 points or more. You can't tell me those are the 12 best teams at that point.
Well, I mean, Bill, you could also argue, go back and look at the results of the college football playoff, that blowouts happen all the time in the college football playoff. Is that proof that those teams don't deserve to be in the college football playoff in the future? Is that not just a distaste? We have a distaste for putting James Madison in rather than we want to see good games. I mean, Oregon's been blown out in the playoff. Notre Dame's been blown out in the playoff. A lot of teams have been blown out in the playoff. How come we don't hold that against them? Uh-oh, I think we lost him.
No.
We lost Bill. We'll have to get him back.
He was tired of this Notre Dame slander.
Bill has told us in the past, like, I love getting pushed back on. Let's see if we can call him back.
Yeah, I don't know.
And get Bill on the line. That's probably just a connection issue. We'll try here again in just a second, see if we can close up with Bill. But hey, Tolos, if you haven't yet given us your upset picks, do it now. 844-326-3663. Need your upset picks right now if you haven't gotten them in. 844 fan phone, text us your name, your game, and the spread. The rules still apply as always. -1 for a wrong pick, -2 for no pick at all. Of course, Leprechaun of Lyman chimes back in and says Bill is his new friend. Go give him a follow. Bill's a fantastic follow, and he is passionate about this. Look, to Bill's point there, I 100% agree that Alabama should have been the team left out of the college football playoff, not because they lost the SEC championship game, but because of how bad they looked in that loss. in the SEC championship game. And we got Bill Bender back
He
on
said,
the
no
line.
more Notre Dame
Yeah.
slander. I'll hang up again, I tell you.
I didn't realize you were that mad at me, Bill.
No, we had these last week. I'm trying, guys. I'll stand still. We've had some internet issues in our house.
Okay. You're good.
With the whole weather here in Ohio the last couple weeks. But where were we?
I was just asking if the idea of James Madison getting blown out, why does that weigh so much more than the actual history and the facts that we've seen of lots of teams get blown out in the college football playoff? If Notre Dame got their ass kicked, what was it, like 30-3 a couple of years ago, why does that not preclude Notre Dame from the playoff when the thought that there's no way that James Madison could keep this game close is a reason to keep them out?
It's because college football fans are different than college basketball fans. College basketball fans love Cinderella. They love putting McNeese or Davidson or whoever in their bracket. And in football, we don't. We don't like Cinderella at all. We want, at least I don't. I'm kind of snobby in that way. I want to see Georgia, Ohio State. I want something to mess up Oregon, Texas Tech. I want to see that one. Now, if James Madison or Tulane were able to pull one upset, yeah, you want to do that. But it's the same concept as in basketball. When you get a Final Four matchup that can be real ugly, when you get George Mason in there or Butler, we had some ugly Final Four games with that. But it is that to me that I still think we still want to see the large brands in the playoff and the championship game, and we'll find out. If I do, this is an unpopular take too. I think Tulane might compete with Ole Miss next week. I'm not sure James Madison can compete with Oregon.
Bill, my last question for you. Your thoughts, bringing it back local. Kendall Briles, who has bounced around a lot over the past half decade or so, being named the new offensive coordinator, being introduced tomorrow at South Carolina.
He's been around, obviously. That means that they're going to run up tempo. It's quarterback friendly, and they'll score points. But he's been around the game. I know he was at Baylor there for a while and some other spots. Yeah. Be interesting to see if he can start that offense around. Now, Norris, you got him for one more year at least, right?
Yeah, if he stays, and I'm hearing some rumors that he's going to. Nothing official yet, but yeah, I think that's part of the puzzle pieces, getting him back.
And that will help. So I think you're fine there, and I like that hire, and see if they can get going on that side of the ball.
What bowl game? I'm sorry. What bowl games you going to, Bill?
That's TBD. We're still working through that. I'm not going to a first round game. I know that. I was down in Charlotte over the week with the Nagurski Award and all that. That was a lot of fun being able to present that to Jacob Rodriguez, who is a really good player and has a really good family. When you get to see these guys get these awards, they also mean something too. Yeah. They're not just names on a plaque, and he's kind of guy, you see him sweep the awards. I honestly thought he should have been a Heisman finalist too.
Bill, I texted you to give you a heads up on this. Any game prior to Christmas Day, which will be up until the Hawaii Bowl on New Year's Eve, is available. What is your upset pick?
Oh, I had one. What's the first bowl?
Boise?
Of the bowl season.
Boise this Saturday, right, Diesel? Is that your pick as
you
well?
can pick Army-Navy. That's technically the first game.
Is Army's the dog, right?
That's Army's correct. A 6-point dog, yep.
I'll go there.
Okay.
I'll just make it easy. I'll go Army on the dog. We have bowl predictions up at Sporting News, but there's room for changes there, because I don't typically pick those right until the actual game, and then we'll go from there. But I don't think Boise will beat Washington. Washington's favored in that game. I like the Huskies to win.
Well, Bill, I will tell you this. Look out for Lenora Sellers to transfer to App State. He was posting on his Instagram story. He was at App Ski Mountain snowboarding with Dowell Loggins yesterday.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, well, if that happens, that will be breaking news, certainly.
Yes, it will be. Bill, you're the best, man. Always appreciate you.
All right. I'll talk to you guys next week.
Absolutely. Bill Bender of the Sporting News. By the way, I don't know if Tolos realize this or not. College football playoff starts 1 week from tomorrow.
So?
Yeah. 1 week.
Wow. So we'll have 2 weeks from championship week until playoffs begin.
That's correct. Alabama,
nice.
Ole Miss, I'm sorry, Alabama, Oklahoma.
What if Alabama
Next
just
Friday.
boat races Oklahoma on the road? And then turn this whole conversation on its head all over again.
Kalen DeBoer, baby. The DeBoer train.
Yeah.
All right, what is the latest, and I mean the absolute latest, on Sherrone Moore? What happens tomorrow? We'll get into that next. former Michigan football coach who remains in custody as a suspect in an alleged assault. Well, tomorrow is a big day, Diesel, because tomorrow Sherrone Moore is expected to appear in court for arraignment on Friday. Again, tomorrow, the Pittsfield Charter Township in Michigan Department of Public Safety announced on Thursday. The Washtenaw County Prosecutor's Office told ESPN that it does not expect a decision Thursday on whether to file criminal charges against Moore, and authorities have yet to release details about Moore's arrest other than to say he remains under investigation. He was incarcerated at the Washtenaw County Jail on Wednesday, just hours after he was fired, right? We know that, for the inappropriate relationship with a staff member. So there's a lot that still has not come out. It looks as if they are doing their investigation before they release any details on the criminal charges and the details about the actual arrest.
Yeah, it depends on, you got to assume they found him in the home in an extremely agitated state.
I heard
I'm
sorry to cut you off. I was just going to say, I heard the wife sent the location and they like intercept him in a church parking lot and got him.
Oh gosh. See, all this is new to me.
Yeah. Again, alleged, right? Alleged information. But it's messy. And you heard some audio earlier. Did you hear the police, the 911 call? Is that right?
I heard something and I couldn't quite tell what it was. I found a tweet that said, we have the 911 call, the dispatch call. And I play the audio, and it's basically unintelligible. So I can't tell if it's AI generated. See, that's another thing to be very, very wary about at this time when it's so easy to create audio through AI. And, you know, with video or photos, you could see, oh, that person's got 7 fingers. That's clearly an AI generated image. But with audio, it's really, really hard to pick up on that kind of stuff, especially when you run it through a filter that sounds like it's over the phone and with thick Michigan accents.
Oh,
so I couldn't understand at all what I was actually hearing. It sounded like some fake jumbled audio. So I couldn't quite tell. Maybe it was real and this person just had the thickest Michigan accent I've ever heard.
Well, it's going to be interesting. You know, it kind of goes back to the Scotty Scheffler news. That was a Friday morning. You know, you and I did the show that day, and obviously, the magnitude of this is way worse than what the Scotty Scheffler news was, but it's kind of the same in terms of, wow, a high-profile sporting figure arrested, detained. Only thing is, it looks as if Sherrone Moore is going to be in some deep, deep water. So we'll still see what those details are when they come out.
When we come back, we got audio from directly out of the Carolina Panthers camp, Tet McMillan. We got audio from Dave Canales as well, plus a good old-fashioned audio roundup from all over the NFL.
Bryson on the Fan Upstate.
Well, you've heard us yapping long enough. Why not hear directly from the voices that matter most? The coaches, the players. We do it, well, not every single day, but most days in this time slot. A good old-fashioned audio blitz, Cole. I'm going to start with this audio, though. This is audio from the FC Haka Stadium.
The who?
FC Haka.
The Haka. What?
Haka what?
Hatua? What?
Yeah, Hakatua. They this
what
is in
was that I was just listening to?
Finland. It's fire.
Fire.
Because the fans of
Chestnuts?
Haka FC who play in the Bundesliga in Finland lit their stadium on fire because their team got relegated down to a lower division.
Wait a minute. It wasn't like it wasn't a nice fire.
No, it was the whole stadium is on fire.
So they weren't like cooking, doing s'mores.
It's not a weenie roast.
Weren't doing
if
s'mores.
you are watching on the stream, I'm holding my phone up.
Ooh.
Like that's the stands right there. Their stadium is on fire because they got relegated to a smaller league.
Making s'mores. They weren't roasting chestnuts.
No, the game has just been upped. We think football is life in the South, right? People are poisoning trees. People are doing damage. They're lighting couches on fire in West Virginia when they lose. Yeah. But nobody's burning the stadiums down.
Not yet, Diesel. Not yet.
Imagine the day that a promotion relegation system goes into effect and Auburn gets dropped to the Sun Belt.
Be bad.
You telling me?
Be bad.
You telling me that stadium's going to stay standing? No, it will not.
Be really, really bad. That'd be really bad.
Unbelievable.
That's tough.
Unbelievable.
Remind me before I pull this audio up, did I play earlier this week, yesterday, the Ocho Cinco and
no, we did not play that audio yet.
Which one? You know which one I'm talking about?
I've read about it. I've read about it on the rundown, but I haven't heard it. Let's hear that.
I don't know if it's the same one you've read about. This is a funny one. This was, for whatever reason, deer hunting got brought up. Is this what you're talking about or no?
I don't know anything about any of this audio.
Oh, okay. I thought you said you read about it. I'm sorry.
On the rundown. You put it on the rundown.
Oh. Gotcha. My apologies.
That's the only thing I know about this.
All right. So deer hunting, for whatever reason, got brought up by Ocho, maybe. And there was a little confusion as to which, Diesel, the license that you have to obtain to hunt. I'll let you hear the audio.
Oh, no.
Yeah. Be prepared.
You gonna go deer hunting? I'm not going with you nowhere with no gun. You don't even know how to carry a gun. I got my CDLs, huh? CDL is a trucker license. I mean, you know what I'm trying to say, my license. Concealed permit. That's what I'm talking about. I knew it started with a C. It's what I do, Joe. No, it ain't.
Shannon Sharp walked off the set.
No, he didn't.
Walked off the set. CDL.
Oh, somebody that's been hit in the head that many times does not need to have a gun.
And you know what's bad about that is, and I don't know what state Ocho's going deer hunting in, but you don't have to have a CWP to hunt. That's to carry.
You got to have a sportsman's license. You got to have a hunting license.
So
you got to have deer tags.
The CDLs will not allow you to deer hunt. FYI.
Cole, I'm going to go get a BBL so that I can go fishing next year. How about that?
I love it. That's so good, man.
God, I don't know if I could. I don't know if I can come anywhere close to that.
Good luck. Sorry. Sorry. CDLs.
Cole, this weekend is a big weekend in the NFL. Some huge matchups. How about the 1:00 matchup on Sunday? The Bills and the Patriots. Josh Allen versus Drake May.
Ooh.
Josh was asked about his relationship with Drake May and maybe doing a little bit of mentoring with the young and up and coming superstar.
I wouldn't sit here and say that I've done it to a lot of guys.
Wait a minute. What did he say?
That was bad wording.
What did you say, Josh?
Bad wording, Josh.
I wouldn't sit here and say that I've done it to a lot of guys. I wouldn't even sit here and say I've mentored Drake. It's just we've been around each other. Most of the time we weren't even talking football. It was just kind of life stuff. And yeah, but I mean, any opportunity I can to help somebody, I'm willing to do that. He's playing like a veteran quarterback. He's seeing things extremely well. He plays at a great pace. Looks like things have slowed down for him, which again, we hate to see that, right? But I'm happy for how well he's playing because he's a great human being on top of being a football player, and we just gotta find a way to win on Sunday.
That's going to be a fantastic game. All kidding aside,
it is.
I cannot wait. But that's great audio.
But it's an even better quote.
I wouldn't sit here and say that I've done it to a lot of guys.
What would you consider to be a lot of guys? Dear God,
that's
Josh.
what you call the out of context audio, right?
Let's hear from Dave Canales, the head football coach of the Carolina Panthers. It's a big one this weekend. They got to win against the New Orleans Saints if they want to still be in prime position to make the playoffs. Here is Dave about getting a huge piece of the defense and J.C. Hornback.
They are still in the protocol. They're doing great. They're making strides. They're clearing all the things we need them to. And so we have one more day to get out there now in pads to be able to do some more movement and making sure we do the right thing for them, getting all the information we can from them in their movement. But they were able to participate in limited fashion today. And we'll ramp it up a little bit more to see if we can get them out there. And then
he was talking about J.C. Horn.
J.C. Horn, yeah. Need that. Do need that bad.
Some audio about from Tet McMillan on, man, what it means to him to maybe be a candidate for NFL Rookie of the Year.
Sure, at the end of the day, I want to accomplish as much as I possibly can. But, I mean, like I said before, you can't do it if you can't win any awards if your team not winning. So that's the main goal right now. We got a huge opportunity in front of us, and we just got to take advantage of it.
I do appreciate who is recording this audio for the Carolina Panthers. Every other team's audio sounds perfect. Carolina Panthers audio always sounds.
Did we just say Tet McMillan Rookie of the Year?
Yeah. I don't know that he's anywhere close to that level.
I'd say maybe top 5, 6, 7, but
I appreciate him saying though, like, it doesn't matter if you don't win anything.
No, I'm with him, but like Tyler Warren has had an incredible year. Emeka Egbuka has had an incredible year out of Ohio State, 75, 1,200 yards, 11 touchdowns. That's some of his projections. I'm just thinking off the top of my head. I like Tet McMillan.
Too far to go to call him that. Now,
Quinshot Junkins has had a good year too,
If Tet blows up over the next 4 games,
big,
maybe you could put him in that conversation, but I still wouldn't put him as any kind of a front.
And again, going back to like the team has to be good. If the Giants were good, you'd say Jackson Dart might be Rookie of the Year, right?
True.
And look, Jackson Dart's had he's shown some flashes, but you just can't say with his injury, right? Its timing's not great. I don't know. The head coach just got fired a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah.
Maybe. We'll see.
Well,
Maybe.
Speaking of Jackson Dart, he was finally asked about his former coach in Lane Kiffin leaving to go to LSU.
Yeah, crazy. I think with Kiff, he kind of does some things that are unexpected. But I'm looking forward to his next opportunity, and me and him just have such a great relationship, and so I know for him that he's going to put his best foot down and do some really great things for that program, and I'm definitely excited for him. I'm also really happy for Ole Miss of keeping Coach Golding at the helm there, and I was also just happy that they're able to keep their offensive staff being able to come back and coach the rest of the playoff. I felt like that'd be kind of I don't know, just like a disrespect a little bit to not let those guys finish it out.
It's a very political answer.
Yeah. Happy for him.
Yeah.
Yeah. You got to be, I hate to say it. He's got to, as a rookie, you got to be political as a rookie.
Here he is talking about Cam Scadaboo and Cam making his way back into the building for the first time in a while without crutches, without a boot, and without one of those little carts that you push along on one foot.
It's definitely just a bright spot. I know that he's obviously thrilled to kind of have that relief. And I know that his recovery is coming along, really well. So it's good to see him, come, into the facility today with a smile on his face, and he's just a really good guy to have in the locker room. And I know it's been really hard for him these last these weeks that he's just had time to recover and whatnot, because his love is football. So I'm just happy that he's able to get back into the facility more, be around the guys, and see him with a smile.
Cam, you're recovering from a major injury. Why are you headbutting the concrete center block wall as you walk in? Come on, man. What are you doing?
What is he banging his head on the pavement for, right? I love that guy.
Jackson just doesn't want to be known as the most reckless player in the building.
Well, that's true.
He likes having Cam back for that reason.
That's true. He does fall to number 2 when Cam comes back. And look, the NFL needs Cam Scatteraboo. I'll be honest with you, Diesel. When he was playing this year, he was just so attractive to watch. I mean, the way he played, the recklessness, his passion, it made the Giants fun again. And the Giants hadn't been fun to watch in a long time. Time.
There's that old saying, if you're going to be dumb, you got to be tough. Cam's tough, but not tough enough, I guess. The body is going to give out at some point. It's like, come on, man, you got to learn to protect yourself out there just a little bit. I mean, maybe Cam is like, I don't care, man. If I'm out of this league in 3 years, I don't care. At least I got to go play. That's what it's all about. It's not about having a long career from him. It's about having an illustrious career from him.
And you know what, though? Like, you would think, though, Diesel, playing devil's advocate, you'd think, okay, well, if he's going to be reckless, he's going to have a head injury and a foot injury, Right. I mean, I don't know how you can protect your foot from breaking or whatever bone broke. I don't know exactly what bone broke, but sometimes there's misfortune, and him and Jackson Dart both, I think they both will this offseason have to, be pulled into a meeting and say, guys, we need you. We need you available, and we do want you to be a little bit more careful going forward.
Texter says, OMG, LOL. I think it was in response to this audio.
I wouldn't sit here and say that I've done it to a lot of guys.
I would imagine that's the response the text was talking about.
Here's Shedeur Sanders on hearing voices out on the field.
Oh, God.
Well, you got, during the game and everything, I always hear his voice, in my ear. I'm like a certain situation, a certain everything. In a lot of situations, and I know his expectation for me is the highest than anybody is, so that's where playing for him my whole life made it easier to come and play anywhere else, because his expectation, what he has done for himself, even being a player where he understands quarterbacks and everything. So, he definitely, is hard, and definitely hard on me. Definitely tell me, get completions. Definitely tell me things like a recap of things, that I need to do better.
So obviously there he's talking about his dad.
Right.
Here is another one from Shedeur Sanders on learning on every single play.
I look at everything and I understand, okay, this is what I was trying to do in this, in this situation, this is what you should do. And sometimes it go your way, then they'll be like, that was lit. And sometimes it don't. So you got to limit those that wasn't the best risk, in certain situations, certain times of the game.
I think behind the mic, Shedeur, when he's answering reporter questions, he's fantastic.
Yeah, and he's been good on the field this year. Now, it's been a very, very small sample size, but the reality is Shedeur Sanders has shown us in Cleveland he can be good enough to put them in position to win games until Kevin Stefanski screws it up and takes them off the field for a 2-point conversion. That's coaching. But I think he's been good. I think Shedeur Sanders has proved a lot of people wrong.
The Kansas City Chiefs are 6-7 on the season, but they'll face a Chargers team whose quarterback's still a little bit banged up this week. 5.5-point favorites against the Chargers at home. Here's Andy Reid describing the response his players have had after the last couple of tough weeks.
Yeah, they want to get to work. That's kind of how they're wired, and so I think they're eager to get back on the field and get going. Everybody knows. They know where we stand right now.
Season's done. That's what he's saying.
They know what's taking place, so very aware. But they also like to work. So we'll get back to it.
So basically,
thanks, a lot of info.
They're 6-7. They know the season's done. I'm translating what he said. We know we're 6-7. We know the season's a wash. We know we're not making the postseason, but these guys are getting paid to show up to work, so
they'd show up.
That's why they're here.
Speaking of one of those guys who's getting paid, Patrick Mahomes on how he played last week, which spoiler alert, wasn't good.
Yeah, just little things here and there. I mean, just trying to keep drives going, and there's times to be aggressive, and there's times when just get the ball out of your hand and let guys make plays. And I think that was something that when I look back at myself is there were certain times in certain spots of the game where I could have maybe taken a completion instead of trying to go for the home run shot. So that's stuff I have to continue to get better at.
Patrick Mahomes, by the way, threw 3 interceptions in last week's 20-10.
Pretty good.
To
Pretty
the
good.
Texans.
If the goal is to throw interceptions, it's pretty good.
Yeah, you want to throw more interceptions or less interceptions?
He hadn't done what Jalen Hurts can do, though. He hadn't turned the ball over. Hey, I saw this. Speaking of the NFL, I saw a TikTok earlier today, and it kind of made me smile. And it said, Phillip Rivers is back. The Patriots have 11 wins. The Cowboys are average. Joe Flacco slinging it. There's drama in Philly. Matthew Stafford's a stud. The Seahawks defense is nasty. Aaron Rodgers is the 4 seed. And the Browns and Raiders are eliminated. Your childhood ain't over yet.
Last piece of audio here for you, Cole.
True,
this is hilarious. Maybe facetious. I don't know. He just might be crazy like this. This is audio from Eagles legend LaShawn McCoy, who says that he would want to come out of the Hall of Fame if the Eagles don't fire this person.
I mean, look.
That's right.
Is Kevin Patullo doing the best job? Absolutely not. He is not. Is he going to be the offensive coordinator there next year? Absolutely not.
He can't.
He
If
can't
he's
be
back, I'm leaving the Eagles. If Kevin's
Where are you
back,
going, Shady? You're in the Hall of Fame. Your jersey's retired.
take me off.
You can't.
Take me off is crazy.
Nobody's ever asked.
Take me off.
And I'm gonna say it's either.
Take me off.
I'm gonna say,
That's
and
crazy.
Mr. Laurie. Now, anything I need gives me. Mr. Laurie, it's either me or Kevin.
Pull
rough.
me from the Hall of Fame
That is
if
rough.
they don't fire their offensive coordinator.
Also, Bo Nix has one person that believes in
A
him.
lot of buzz about you guys being underdogs. Do you use that as a battle cry motivation? You tune it out, and do you think that's a sign that you're not getting enough respect yet?
I don't really care. My mom thinks we'll win, so that's all that matters.
Bo Nix not concerned that the Broncos are underdogs. He says, my mom thinks we'll win, and that is all that matters.
I'm just glad he didn't have a breakdown over a plane coming overhead. Have you seen all these weird interviews from the stars of Wicked?
No.
Ariana Grande and Skeletor?
No, I have not.
They're
I know what
trying
you're
to do
talking
an
about.
interview, and a helicopter comes overhead. One of them has an emotional breakdown.
No.
Because a helicopter interrupted, and Ariana Grande is like, go away, helicopter. Now's not a good time.
No.
We're entering into a weird place with those two.
All right, Tolos. Chapel Fowler, the state newspaper, talking Clemson bowl game, opt-outs, guys declaring for the draft. More next. Right.
10 points. I think it was 9.5 yesterday, JB, over Washington. This week you have, I think, about 18 or 19 games available to choose from. That would be the pre-Christmas bowls that leads all the way up to the Hawaii Bowl that I think is on Christmas Eve. You also get the Army-Navy game to choose from, and you get the college football playoff first-round games. Those are the games you have to pick. Any college football game with a spread on it that's before Christmas Day
we gotta
is
get
available to pick.
We got to get these entries bumped up a little bit, though. I mean, a little slack yesterday, Diesel.
It's still -2 if you don't make a pick. It's -1 if you get your pick wrong. And, of course, if you get it right, then we all throw a pizza party and everybody's happy. Speaking of being happy, we are always pleased to be joined by Chapel Fowler of the State newspaper. He covers Clemson as his beat. Chapel, what's Dabo's stance on players that are deciding to enter the transfer portal? And I get the list is still fairly small at this point, and letting them come back and play in the Pinstripe Bowl. Kenny Dillingham has come out and said that his players who declare for the portal can still come back and play in the Sun Bowl. A couple of other coaches have done the same thing. So when it comes to guys like Keith Adams Jr. and Khalil Barnes who have declared for the portal, will they be allowed to play and finish out their seasons with Clemson if they choose?
Good afternoon, guys. Good to be on with you. I don't know if Dabo has ever been asked directly about that, and that actually would be an interesting thing to ask him. But in all my experience covering Clemson, when a player transfers, they're pretty much gone. I don't think that's supposed to be like a, rub it in or slap in the face. It's just kind of the way it's gone. I think back to Troy Stellato last year. He entered the transfer portal after the South Carolina game before the ACC championship, and he did not travel with the team. They had Sherrod Koval, a safety, also enter the portal that week. He actually played in the ACC championship game, but Dabo kind of described that a week later as like a pretty unique circumstance where he really, really wanted to play in the game, and really there was no bad blood. And like he kind of made his pitch and explained, hey, here's where I want to transfer, but I want to finish with the team. So I think if guys kind of make a good faith effort, maybe there's a chance of it. But in my experience covering Clemson, whenever I see a guy entering the portal or the draft for that matter, I kind of usually think, okay, they've played their last game with the Tigers.
It's interesting, man, because you do see it happen more places than, some schools. Chapel don't have to worry about it to the effect that some of these schools do. To catch Clemson fans up on players who have decided to hit the portal or even declare for the draft, what's your biggest takeaway, your biggest summary on the players that have already announced that they're leaving Clemson and the ones that you think will impact this roster the most?
Yeah, it's been a flurry over these last few days. I've been writing a bunch of stories and posting a bunch of pre-writes and then getting it all out there. It's transaction season, as we like to call it at the state. The most surprising one to me is Khalil Barnes leaving, the starting junior safety. A lot of people are like, oh, we weren't surprised. I mean, of course, yeah, it's been a tough season, so you're not really truly 100% surprised if a guy who's usually a regular starter for you decides to look elsewhere. But that one's unique and notable to me because Clemson just basically does not lose starters to the portal. It's all rotational guys. It's backup guys. Really, for a long time, Dabo would tout the fact that they hadn't lost a starter to the portal. And then they lost Makuba to Texas and Bo Collins to Notre Dame 2 years ago. And the Collins, departure wasn't too bad because they had some great freshmen coming in. Dabo has said that out of all their transfers, Makuba and A.J. Hoffler, who went to Georgia Tech, were the two he truly wanted to keep. I would imagine Khalil Barnes falls into that category now, too. This is a guy who, maybe plateaued a little bit from the freshman, sophomore seasons, but is still a really impactful player and somebody they really liked a lot, someone Tom Allen liked a lot, super versatile guy. When he came back and was healthy, their defense really picked up mid-season, late in the season. So that is the biggest one to me. I'm not surprised with the other portal departures. All the guys that have gone to the league, I was anticipating that. I think Will Heltz probably has the toughest decision to make. And I know there's kind of some positive vibes surrounding his potential return to Clemson, which I think, it's definitely a 50-50 at this point, if not a little more towards him returning. But I think Khalil Barnes is the one that stood out to me, and he had a long social media post about it. That was an interesting one.
Chappell, let's look at the other side of that. Obviously, we don't know who may be interested in Clemson or who Clemson may be targeting at this point, but the expectation is that Dabo and Clemson will be a little more aggressive in the portal this offseason. Rumors or speculation around quarterback, possibly at running back, but I would be shocked if we saw a massive policy change that would see, what you would expect to attract players, big time cash offers up front. So with that, it's sort of enticement being off the table, but also the desire to be more aggressive. How do you kind of pitch to guys to come to Clemson if you're not giving them the money that they want?
I mean, I don't know. I think they're working with a bit of a limited NIL rev share, all that budget, but they're certainly not, completely unable to compete for dudes. They beat, I think it was LSU and Texas A&M were the two other schools that were going after Will Helt last year, and they beat those schools out for him. And, they used every bit of that $15-ish million rev share allotment this year for their roster. A lot of really highly compensated guys. I think the fact that you've got Cade Klubnik leaving, Antonio Williams leaving, Peter Woods, TJ Parker, Avion Terrell, that's a lot of guys that were making some pretty decent change at Clemson this year. So to me, there's no excuse to not attack the portal hard. And, again, they said they don't want to lead with money. And if a guy only wants money, then Clemson's not the right fit. But they can offer, some pretty decent money and a chance to come in and be an impact guy at a school that obviously really benefited from transfers last year and needs a lot more of them this offseason. If you're asking me, I don't see any reason why you shouldn't take 6 guys a minimum with all the defensive departures specifically, regardless of the quarterback question, which is another thing. You need more veteran experienced bodies in that group without question. And I think Tom Allen's going to play a big part in that. But I think the pitch is, hey, come here, earn your time and play a lot and look at what Will Helt did and what Jeremiah Alexander did to a lesser degree, Tristan Smith. The transfers that have come in at Clemson, the very few of them have been embraced and they've been impactful. So I think that's a pretty decent pitch. But again, if a guy wants the most money and the more, maybe they go to Texas or Texas A&M to get some oil cash instead of what Clemson can offer.
We're joined by Chappell Fowler of the State Newspaper. A little bit of a format breaker here, Chappell, not Clemson related. Your reaction to the past 24 hours of the Sherrone Moore news?
Oh my gosh, just crazy. The local reporting on that has been really good. And there's a lot of rumor and stuff. I've kind of just been sticking to court records and what the local guys and the Athletic and ESPN and all the nationals are giving me. But yeah, what a crazy, stunning fall from grace. I mean, obviously that school has just had a million issues between all the hardball cheating stuff and Connor Stallions and the fact that Sherrone Moore had already been suspended this season for, essentially destroying evidence as part of that investigation. And then you got this going on. Good on Michigan for standing by their policy. Obviously, it seems like there may be some mental health crisis or other stuff going on there with the news that had been arrested right after that happened. That was kind of jarring to see. So a lot to be sorted out there. And certainly it's a sad situation, but at the same time, he did it to himself. This is a guy who probably, I'd imagine, won't work in college football again, or at least it'll be a very, very, very long time. So yeah, every update on that, I was like, what the heck is happening? And I know we're still waiting on the full picture, but it seems not great. But I will give Michigan credit for doing this investigation. These internal investigations, sometimes you find what you want to find. In this case, it seems like they found the root of the problem, what was going on. So I'll hat tip them journalistically for that.
Chappell, we were sort of speculating back and forth. What becomes of the recruiting class that Michigan put together? A really strong class. Maybe the rules on this. We hadn't had time to dig into it and figure it out. But, do the normal coach just got fired rules apply to a signing class that hasn't even come to campus yet?
I'd imagine they do. I know there's a specific carve out for that, even under this new kind of portal setup where it's that January portal range and no spring portal. But I think it's something like, I don't know, but there's an immediate period for guys to enter the portal, maybe once a new coach is hired. So it's kind of on the back end, which is interesting. So maybe that does hamstring you a little bit. I I feel like whenever it's happened right to a signing class, they signed last week. I'd imagine that's one where maybe there's some flexibility, or Michigan's able to kind of grant some releases, to use an old school term, whenever guys would have to get released out of their NLIs and stuff. I feel like there's probably some flexibility there, just given how weird and unprecedented and out of the blue this is for a lot of recruits, I'm sure. I mean, I saw players, you remember Jordan Young, who was committed to Clemson at one point, the safety, tweeting about it, SMH with a, hand over face emoji. I think all these guys are blindsided. So that to me is a great opportunity for Michigan to be pro player and let these guys out of this crazy situation, because who the heck knows how their search for a coach is going to go now with the playoff just starting. It's going to take forever, I'm sure. But yeah, glad to not be a Michigan admin right now more than anything else.
One of our texters, Chappell, said on the text line, again, take it for what it's worth. He might be right. I'm not sure exactly. Like Diesel said, texter said they have 15 days to enter the portal when a coach is fired. So
that sounds about right. Yeah.
I thought the rule was changed to they have 15 days after a new coach was hired.
Oh, I don't know.
That rule just got changed.
It's a good question. It's a good question. We'll have to dig in on that a little bit. Chappell, with the bowl game approaching, your immediate reaction to Clemson making the trip to New York, obviously a very historic venue with Clemson playing Penn State at Yankee Stadium. Do you feel like this is a game that Clemson fans are going to get excited about?
I feel like, given where this season was supposed to go, that this is a pretty decent consolation prize. I know that the affordability is not great, so I don't know how many fans who are living up there already are going to make it up. The timing right after Christmas and everything. It's going to be cold and it's going to be pricey to get up there. So if you want to be chilly and drop $3,000, be my guest. But I understand if it's more Penn State or locals. I know Clemson has a lot of alumni up there, so crowd size I'm not sure, but I think the channel placement, the opponent, where it sits kind of in the calendar. It's not like the last bowl ever. It's not the first one on the calendar. I think this is a pretty good draw. I think it's going to get a lot of viewership. I think it'll be an interesting matchup. You obviously have two programs who fell well short of expectations, but could definitely use, one big non-conference win against another historic team to kind of boost them into the off season. So I was personally excited when I saw it because, it's a new bowl, new stadium for me to cover a game at. Never covered a football game at a baseball stadium. They're kind of doing the opposite of the Savannah Bananas, I guess, from April. So it's kind of poetic. But I think all things considered, it was a pretty good draw. Better than the Duke's Mayo Bowl or something. It's a little bit more unique than that.
Well, Chappell, bring your binoculars. I've never covered a game at Yankee Stadium, but I've covered a Georgia State game at the old Brave Stadium. And, that media booth right behind home plate is a long way from the far corner end zone. Speaking of Clemson in New York City, we got to talk about that just complete collapse against BYU the other night. I guess, going ice cold from the floor is part good defense from the other team and part your team just got the yips. Do you think Brad Brownell did enough, during that stretch to try to shake the Tigers out of that funk, or does it all kind of fall on him that he wasn't able to break him out of it?
Yeah, I was up there for that game. Did a little advanced scouting on how I'm going to use the subway later this month. That was a heck of a game, but you could kind of just feel in the second half, and I'm sure you guys watching on TV would say the same. You just felt that lead wiltering, and you just kind of sense, they're up 21 at halftime, 21-0 run. It was ridiculous. Everything's going right. You come out, you're up 22, and then things just started looking off, and suddenly it's 18 and it's 15, and AJ DeBanza, by the way, what a freaking player. I mean, that is a number one draft pick. He was awesome. He almost had a triple-double in the second half. Not really, but he had 20 points, 7 rebounds, 5 assists. They could not stop him. When he wasn't scoring, he was tossing up lobs to that center they have, who was an absolute beast. He's the one who, kind of broke the rim and made them bring out the big ladder and adjust it and caused a 15-minute delay. I mean, I think you can push some coaching buttons if you're Brunell in that instance. I don't think the way they defended DeBanza, especially in the second half, was very effective. They had Butta Johnson on him in one-on-one situations way too often. I think some of that was BYU screening to create that defensive mismatch. But as much as they double-teamed him, as they did on that final play when the other guy hit the game winner, I think they should have double-teamed him more. So I think their defense could have been better. But in terms of the offense and those terrible shooting splits, I think, you can't coach your guys out of the yips. They kind of just have to shoot their way through it. And Clemson obviously did the exact opposite of that in the second half, especially.
Chappell, my last question for you. When you look at what Cade Klubnik will do next, well, no, I guess not next Saturday, the Saturday after Christmas in the Pinstripe Bowl, that'll be his last game. And my question to you is, how do you think Cade will be remembered? What do you think his legacy will be?
I think he will be remembered as a very serviceable quarterback who won a good amount of games but had a ceiling and couldn't get Clemson over the hump. And that's not a bad legacy to have. I mean, he's going to finish, I want to say, top 5 in, completions, yards, total touchdowns, quarterback wins. I think he's currently in, I want to say 5th place or something, 5th or 6th place. He just passed Charlie Whitehurst after the South Carolina game. The kid's a gamer. He only missed 1 game because of injury his entire Clemson career, and obviously gutted it out down the stretch this season when he wasn't totally healthy. I mean, you guys saw him halfway running around with whether it was the ankle or the thigh contusion. Like, he really did not look like himself in some of those games after he came back after missing the SMU game, but he kept on playing. He obviously cares a lot about the school. He stayed loyal to them. They stayed loyal to him. He made a college football playoff. He's a 2-time ACC championship game MVP. Like, those resume notes alone are pretty good. Like, there's not a lot of guys who can say that type of stuff. Obviously, the standard is national titles at Clemson, and he's not going to get there and probably was never at any point in his career like truly elite enough to carry a team to that level. But that's also like an incredibly impossible standard. So I think especially this last game, I think the South Carolina game was like this too, was kind of a chance for fans to appreciate him, kind of look forward to the next step and say, hey, here's a guy who has busted his butt. And, maybe if we wanted him to be a 10 out of 10, 5-star whatever recruit, maybe he was an 8 out of 10 or a 7 out of 10 when it was all said and done. But I think people will look back on him fondly, even with the few limitations.
Chappell, you're the best. You're plugged in with everything, and we appreciate your time.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate you having me.
Thanks, buddy. Chappell, Fowler, good stuff, man.
Big question. 15 years from now, Cole, will people be tailgating at Clemson games, reminiscing about the good Cade Klubnik era?
Well, there was nothing good about the Cade Klubnik era, to answer
right, that's
your
my
question.
point.
Yeah.
So the answer is no.
No,
they're not.
No.
Like, it's the same question I had, was it last year? About Will Shipley. Like, are people going to be sitting back and talking about the Will Shipley days when he was cutting big runs? No, they're probably not. I think Cade Klubnik, unfortunately, maybe slightly unfairly, given the accolades and the accomplishments that he had, will ultimately be forgotten.
Well, he'll be down the list.
Yeah. How many people are sitting around debating the Charlie Whitehurst days?
Yeah. I mean,
Not
people,
many.
diehard Clemson fans know Charlie. And man, I'll tell you this, Charlie Whitehurst was an incredible quarterback for Clemson. I remember watching just about every Charlie Whitehurst game he ever played at Clemson. I'd probably put Charlie Whitehurst ahead of Cade Klubnik. I know his statistics. Chappell just said, Cade passed him in one category. But no, he's down the list. He's down the list for sure.
Cole, why don't we go a little out of left field in the very last segment with 5 minutes to go? A conversation that nobody saw coming today. Arch Manning and his eventual trip to the NFL. I saw this story today, and it had me laughing, but I then had to do a little research, and I'm thinking maybe it's not all that crazy. Scouts told Fox NFL sports reporter Ralph Vacciano that Arch Manning would be the number one quarterback in the upcoming 2026 NFL draft. So even with all the other great quarterback play,
the word eventual means like now.
Yeah.
Oh,
he's saying that Arch Manning, scouts are looking at Arch still with the tough season that he had this year as the number one overall quarterback. But the question is, was he really as bad as we thought? And how much better did he get over the course of the season?
Well, without looking at stats, I would say I wouldn't think he's as bad as we thought. It just feels like Diesel, he's been in college football 2.4 seconds.
Yeah, exactly. If we talked about it a lot. First half of the season, Arch Manning is a bust. He's no good.
Yeah.
Well, Arch in the first half of the season, first year as a full-time starter, 220 yards a game passing. It's not great, not awful either. He threw 12 touchdowns, 5 interceptions. He averaged 2 touchdowns per game, and he averaged 0.83 interceptions per game. That's 5 over 6 games. Second half of the season, he upped that 220 yards a game to 271 yards a game, and he was playing against all SEC competition.
Good
by
competition.
that point in the season.
Yeah.
He also threw 12 passing touchdowns in that same time period, so the same, but he did it against all SEC competition.
He lowered
his interception numbers from the first 6 to the second 6 from 5 to 2. So in a lot of the measurable categories, Arch Manning was pretty damn good in the second half of the season.
Yeah, I think we're so reactionary as college football fans, Diesel, and we saw what he did against Ohio State, and we saw what he did, the first couple of weeks. And while he wasn't horrible, we just weren't like mesmerized. We weren't blown away, right? And that's because of the preseason hype. That's why.
There's so much hype that built in that this guy is going to come in and throw 4 touchdowns a game every game. And it didn't start off that way or didn't happen that way. But there's also something to be said there, Cole, for the lingering bias that can sometimes stick around. The fact that we all looked at Arch as an absolute bust through the first couple of games of the season. And even though he got better, we all still had buried in the back of our minds that Arch just, not that he was a bust, but he just not all that.
He's not sexy as we thought he would be in terms of his statistics, right? I will say this, though. How many times do we see a really good quarterback in college not always translate into the NFL? Vice versa. How often do we see sometimes a college quarterback that we didn't think was going to be all that be a pretty good NFL quarterback? Mind you, there have been a lot of guys that coming out of college, Diesel, weren't the best in the world, but made pretty good NFL quarterbacks. So we'll see. I'm not giving up on Arch.
As of right now, this is from ESPN.com and Field Yates, looking to see who is projected to go first, second, third for quarterbacks this year. Fernando Mendoza from Indiana, expected to be the number 1 overall pick to the New York Jets. Sure. Second quarterback expected to be taken, Dante Moore from Oregon. He's expected to go to the Raiders. And then where is the third quarterback on this list? You got to go scrolling. Keep that finger scrolling.
Oh, my. You're going deep.
I'm down into 15, 16. Yeah, you got to go way down to find another quarterback. I haven't found the third quarterback yet. Cole, I might not get to it before this is over.
Uh-oh.
Wow.
You got 10, 9,
Ty Simpson.
8.
Ty Simpson expected to go 31st to the Rams.
Tolo's a big Friday show tomorrow. We'll see you then.